as we say hello and a welcome here to the wonderful World Center of Racing here for, what do you want to call it, a new series here on High Velocity TV, the ARC, iRacing Pro Series here, as we'll get a little bit into talk about that later on here in the pre-race show here for week 1 here of season 7, once again for the ARC Pro Series. Hello, my name is Christian Delgado, once again alongside here Matthew Prochaski back up here in the High Velocity TV booth. And Matthew, you can call it a new series, a new season, regardless. Coming back here to the World Center of Racing here for week 1 here in these O'Reilly machines.
Yeah, new beginnings for this new series, and what better place to do it than the high banks of Daytona, right? You know, starting off the season here, just like the real life schedule, right? You know, fresh start for all these drivers, a lot of familiar faces from the AWC Pro Series, which finished up just a little while ago on the network, and some new faces as well that we will be more than glad to introduce to you fans at home and follow along throughout this race. But yeah, Christian, I mean, this venue just so historic, so fitting for the start of what will hopefully be an amazing season here in the ARC iRacing Pro Series.
Yeah, exactly. I can't wait to see how this season 7 starts out here from Daytona. Obviously, last week we went and saw the Daytona Duels, as we saw some drivers bring it home and advance their starting position here for tonight's race to start season 1. But one driver we do want to talk to here is someone who qualified their way under the front row, Oscar Enriquez. As we get ready to set sail here, just over 8 minutes left in practice as we go down the trackside here and see if we can get some new drivers here. We'll look at the 56 of it, Oscar, down here in pit road here. Looks like he has that car parked down here, pit side, down here in pit road here. So, I believe, yeah, like Oscar out on track here. But let's go ahead and bring up the number 56 of Oscar. He qualified on the front row. He's going to be starting up there, and we'll talk to him just real quick up here in the booth to see his thoughts on tonight's race.
Yeah, and these drivers, you know, right now, obviously in this session, just getting an understanding of where their car is, you know, where they're at in the sim, and, you know, making any adjustments to, you know, making any adjustments to the car and the rig as necessary. Right now, just want to make sure you're filling out all the odds and ends, because once we get going green here, there's going to be no turning back. So it's a really good opportunity for everyone here to just get settled in and hopefully get all the jitters out right before we start this race.
As we do have Oscar up here in the booth. Oscar, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, obviously, you'll be starting outside front row, I believe, here to start tonight's race here for the 250. Obviously, really good qualifying for you last week there, that last Friday. Obviously, raced your way in the duel, so you have a little bit of experience with some of these drivers here as you make it's not your first start here with these guys, but your first couple here. What's the outlook for you? Obviously, you got a lot of good Toyota teammates to work with tonight here in the 250.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely, my strategy is to try to stay up front. I feel like it might get a little hairy out back, and really just try to keep track position. I feel like with these Xfinity cars, it's really a track position game. So we're gonna try to keep the number 56, Joseph Strigley BRN Chevy Camaro up front.
And obviously looking forward into the future here. Obviously, we ran a couple of races with us last year. You know some of the guys here who will be racing around. Is there an outlook of wanting to get together with some of your Toyota teammates, or is that something you look forward to towards maybe the latter half of the race, or is it just going to be aggressive to keep that 56 up front?
Yeah, well, since it's a track position race, I'm mainly going to be focusing on keeping up front. But if we can get some of my teammates up front, definitely going to try to work with them and form a strategy. But for now, at least for the opening of the race, we're going to try to keep this thing up front.
It's going to be interesting to see what you can do with that track position, starting front row on that outside line. But about a little under 6 minutes left in practice. We'll drag you back down there to get ready to go green here. 250 laps. We appreciate your time up here in the booth, Oscar.
Yeah, thank you very much.
The Oscar, obviously, starting on the front row. He'll be on that outside front row there alongside Noah Brown. My apologies there in that number 65 machine. Another Toyota teammate as we count down to get ready to go green here with just under 6 minutes left in practice, Matthew.
Yeah, and what a massive pit party we just saw exit the pit lane there. A lot of drivers wanting to make sure that they can run with each other in the pack. Obviously, we will be seeing pack racing here at Daytona. There's no doubt about that. But especially so with these O'Reilly cars, right? We just heard Oscar mention it. And this car model, it really complements being able to draft up to someone. And you have very symmetrical body shapes. And that just allows for these cars to pretty much be equivalent with one another, front bumper to rear bumper. And right now, a lot of these guys that are getting up to speed, they're going to be trying to figure out where they can or where they cannot be pushing. And when you're pushing one of these cars, Christian, talk to us a little bit about what you feel in the sim and how on edge these cars are, or lack thereof, how much these cars are gripped up at this track.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like these O'Reilly machines, they are probably the worst handling out of the the top three, especially when it comes to giving shoves. We saw on the duels last week, with Diego, actually, our inter-race reporter for the season. He almost won that duel. In that first duel, obviously, Andreas cannot make it for the 250, which actually gave the spot to the 87 of Dan Cruz, and we'll talk to him later in the show here after we probably talk after we get done talking about this. But yeah, I mean, you have to be a lot more precise. You have to be a lot more patient when it comes to giving shoves here. In the next gen, in the truck, even if you know the driver well in the ARCA car, you can really shove through the corner. You can shove kind of wherever you want here. You see here with this big pack, you really start to see some aggressive shoving down the straights. You see them back off a little bit through the corner here. Try to give the space, try to aero pack them out, try to push them out, and then you'll see very, very aggressive pushing down the back stretch and the front stretch.
Yeah, and just like you mentioned, Christian, lifting, getting into the corner, we saw the flames out of the pipes a few rows back from the front of the field. And obviously, right now, yeah, a lot of slicing and dicing from that Exalta machine in second place there behind that 3-wide TV O2 car of Carlos Acosta. Obviously, a familiar face here at the network. Carlos Acosta with a lot of great runs last season in the AWC Pro Series, so looking forward to seeing how he can do here at Daytona. But yeah, a lot of, as we see already, contact and spinning around the 87 machine off into the infield grass, collecting another one. But as we saw right there, the aggression level just getting into the tri-oval when you're not even steering, you're just going straight, getting a little out of shape off the corner, turn 4, that could really send you around.
That's going to be interesting to see, how the aggressiveness is going to pick up throughout the race. We do have Dan Cruz up on the dial here. Let's see if we can talk to the 87. He wasn't even supposed to race tonight, but got the call up late as someone could not make it in from the duels. We'll talk to him up here in 87. Dane, it's Christian Matthew up here in the booth. You got a copy?
Oh, hey, this is a surprise. I got you.
Well, obviously, surprised to see. Obviously, a pleasant surprise to see you up here in the race tonight. Obviously, bad duel one last week there from Daytona, but obviously got the call up last second. Driver couldn't make it. You have this 87 Exalta machine up front. You ran some laps here. What's the outlook? Obviously, one of our strongest, probably, overall O'Reilly racers here in the league, having to start from the back. Kind of what's the outlook here for this 250-mile dash here for week one?
I don't know. From what I saw from the duels, it's kind of gonna be a little chaotic, I think. So getting through the field, well, track position could be paramount. And obviously I'm starting 40 for whatever, so I don't. There's only one way to go. Plan is simple.
You make up a good point there. Starting 41st, you're gonna have to. You can't really go for any farther back. So obviously, you have a bunch of your CU Motorsports teammates that you're probably going to continue to work with throughout the season. You guys have any confidence that you guys can get not only you but the rest of your teammates up to the front, potentially battle for this Week 1 championship here from Daytona?
I'm pretty confident. We just raced together on the same combo. Was our out of the problem is they're way up front and I'm not with, so just depends on each other. If yeah, my first time racing this league, so we'll see how it goes. Those weren't great, but I'm in anyway.
That's all that counts. Is you're in now, you have a chance, and that's all that I feel like a lot of these drivers are asking for. But Dane, just over 29 seconds left in practice. We'll drag you back down to your teammates and wish you good luck here in this 250-mile race here from the World Center Racing. appreciate Dane's time up here in the booth. Obviously, we wanted to get a little bit of perspective from the booth here. We have, we talked to Enriquez. Starting on the front row, we talked to the, driver who got the call up last second here, as he'll be racing tonight here, as I believe it was actually Andreas who gave him the spot there, as he couldn't make it tonight. Dane Cruz gets the call up here this last second time here, Matthew, to get up and jump and try to race for a win here from Daytona.
Yeah, and when you get the call up, Christian, it's really just a moment for you to put everything behind yourself, right? That dual finish doesn't matter anymore. The starting finish, though it is further back in the pack, it's Daytona. It really doesn't make too much of a difference so early on in the race where you start. And if anything, for this driver in particular, we're gonna really be paying attention to him because he has nothing to lose, right? Starting from the back, like we mentioned, and with a lot of other teammates around him, right? So with all that in mind, I think that he's going to be one to keep an eye on. But as we go under the lights here at Daytona, we once again embark on a new journey and a new just great set of tracks here on the ARC schedule that we're going to be having. But obviously just a great start overall, and especially so under the lights here. Just a really prestigious track to be racing at, and a lot to look forward to tonight.
And what a way to, start off the season here for Season 7 from the World Center of Racing. Always exciting stuff that happens here from Daytona. Obviously, it's kind of symbolical. Anytime you start off the season, you come to the high banks here from Daytona Beach to start off your season tonight. But you see if you can see that far down, see the cars start to get going here. We'll get ready to get your starting lineup here for Week 1 to start off Season 7 here from Daytona. We'll get ready to get your starting lineup here. You see Noah Brown. Got the pull last week from Friday. He sits on the row 1 alongside, the other pole sitter there, Oscar Enriquez in that number 56 machine. We talked to him earlier this race. You see Travis Van Oostendorp. He won Duel 1 in that number 16 machine alongside Michael Earl in that number 2 machine. Bryson Bird, Jackson Brown round out row 3. Fidel Fabian, Micah Walls, 2 AWC drivers alongside Jimmy Cocker, Joel Farlow rounding out your top 10.
Taking a look at 11 through 20 starting position, Matthew C. White in the 28 car, Tyler Watermelon, Joseph Madigan, Enrique Cucolone, favorite of ours here at the network, Luca Turcati, Tristan Stump, Luke Allen in the 17th starting position, AJ Nickel in the 47 car, Nolan Crane in the 20, Ace Throckmorton, and Jacob D. Davis is going to be starting that 21st position.
We'll look further back here to 22nd. Robert Izzo in that 46 machine back there, rounding out that row 11. Carlos Acosta in 023 YTV machine back there. And alongside the 31 of Joseph Smith, rounding out row number 12, you see back there in 25th, Ryan Ronnebaum, Olivia Heyman in that number 54 machine. 27th goes to Wyatt Roberts. We're going to be looking at him to drive up through the field as well, alongside Kynan Jones in the 85. Rounding out your top 30, Ryan Jones, Matthew Chastain in the number 75.
Yeah, we look through the rest of the field here. We got McCorkle, Steiner, Wilson, Scarborough, Payne, O'Neill, Jesus, Folliker, McFall, and Terrell rounding out row 20.
And then rounding out ninth field, Dane Cruz, we talked about him. I have to start from the back. You'll see back there rounding out tonight's field, that 81, Nick Hansen, that number 81 machine. Rounding out your top 42 drivers. 42 drivers racing for the win tonight. You still see a limited 2x2 as we get the 2 to go here from Daytona. We'll go ahead and continue to talk to some of you drivers up here, up in the booth. We'll go ahead and talk to Wyatt Roberts if we can find him up here. Your past season's champion, going to try to build the momentum there. We'll see if we can bring up the number 42 up here in the HVTV booth. Hey, Wyatt, Christian, Matthew up here in the HVTV booth. Got a copy?
Yes, I do.
Well, obviously, big race, big week 1, coming off of a championship there for the AWC side of things. Obviously, starting back there in 27th. Probably not where you wanted to, really start there. Obviously, was up towards the front. Got caught up in a big wreck there in duel number 1. But P27 here to start tonight's race. 250 miles. What's the outlook?
Yeah, I mean, just ready to get started on a new season here. Starting towards the back, but it's a long race. And starting on the inside, I'm probably going to just sit on the inside for a little bit, trying to avoid some of the drama and trying to obviously got to make it through the big one. And just hope to finish with a clean car and hopefully in contention there and like the top few spots at the end and can really try and go for the win.
and obviously talk to us about 42 strong. Obviously, a big race tonight, a big field tonight. Obviously, a lot more than we're used to seeing here with the AWC guys. Obviously, we brought over the ARC guys, but you know, walk us through. Obviously, starting kind of in the middle of the field here. Starting on the bottom, starting kind of in the middle of the hornet's nest. Are you prepared to, you know, maybe take evasive actions if you need to get out of harm's way?
Yeah, I mean, I think the inside is definitely safer for trying to avoid wrecks. Honestly, with the package, I think the outside is better for making up spots. But with the inside, I mean, you can just send it on the apron or whatever, send it to the dirt or pit road or whatever, trying to avoid a wreck. But really just hoping I can naturally kind of make my way through, whether it be on pit stops or whatever. But yeah, just hopefully can find my way through the field, but also stay out of the trouble.
Yeah, I definitely agree. A good plan for you and this 42 team is we wish you good luck here. We appreciate your time up here in the booth, and hopefully we can see you on the other side of this 250 miles.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Wyatt Roberts starts back there, P27. We get ready to look through some of your prerequisites here. Obviously, Matthew, we talked about the field mileage tonight. I believe they said it was about 28 to 33 laps. What's kind of the plan here for these drivers, knowing that you can't really go more than 30, 35 laps tonight?
Well, obviously in the sim, we're going to see a lot different racing than the fuel saving we see in real life in the Cup Series, for example, on these super speedway races. But I'm thinking that, Christian, you know, you're just going to want to make sure that you're around the guys that you want to pit with, right? You want to be around the guys that if we do stay green, you're going to be coming in with and getting back up to speed with, which is probably going to be a lot of your teammates on the same strategy. And especially so, those guys that are going to be working with you the best. So I'm pretty sure that that's what a lot of these guys are going to have in mind. But obviously that big one looming is just going to be able to throw a curveball and all that.
It's going to be interesting to see, you know, how you line up with your guys here for that fuel potential green flag pit stops. We look at your race weather. Pretty nice day out here from Daytona, but you see the lights off on the pace truck. And it's all come down to this. All this time in preparation. We went through the duel. We went through qualifying. Noah Brown, Oscar Enriquez. That's going to get me all season long going to lead us to green here for 250 miles to start week 1 here for season 7 for the ARC iRacing Pro Series. The pace car. Hard left turn down pit road here in just a few moments here. We'll get ready to go racing here for the ARC Pro Series. And the race over the Barney the Flagman. You'll see the pace car down pit road. We'll get ready to go 250 miles here from the World Center of Racing. Come through the backstretch for the first time. It's going to be the 65, Noah Brown, the 56 of Enriquez. Side by side there at the bottom. Really well put together there. Trying to get that momentum started.
Yeah, I was going to say a great push from that 16 car on the bottom of the racetrack, Travis Van Oostendorp. I mean, right now, yeah, they are definitely going to be pushing and shoving to try and get clear of that top lane. The bottom 2 cars, that is. Followed behind in that 9 Lowe's machine. It's going to be Michael Walls. Oh, we see a wreck already.
The 56, Enriquez involved in a big one. That's going to be at least 5, 6, 7, even 8 cars there involved early. I think that was started off with the 56 of Enriquez.
The 26 car without brakes there, I believe. Oh, man, that was chaos.
So many drivers moving up and down the board here. We're trying to find a number 56 to see if we can find where he is here. Get him up here and actually 11th here. Take a look here. Obviously wrecking early. That's not what we wanted to see here up here in the booth, but I'll have to take a look here on the HVTV replay. Go ahead and look up here at your chopper cam here. Looks like they've already gone around here. We'll do one more step back here. See if we can figure out what happened here. It looks like this all kind of started around this 56 area of Oscar. It's like just a bad push from the two of Michael Earl. A little bit off center. Sends that 56 around and nowhere to go for some of these guys in the back. We saw the 26, I believe, get caught up in there. That might have been a 66, actually. Madigan have a stumble. Oh, man. And in the back of the 40, Fidel Fabian. See if we can ride on board with the 26 here. Dude, this all this carnage here on this Toyota racing on board.
Yeah, Christian, I think that just came down to pushing the pusher on that top line. It looked like there was just a huge stack up and nowhere for the 26 to go, it looked like. But right here, just insult to injury, salt in the wound, hitting that car that came to a stop on the bottom of the banking there. And that's just going to be, I thought he parked it at that point, but no, that's actually going to be still on the racetrack for the 26 machine.
Yeah, and I kind of agree with you, Matthew, there. It's just, I mean, we're, you know, on lap 1, or actually lap 2 is, my apologies, when that caution came out. You figured, you know, obviously everybody's very excited. It's race 1. You know, you don't, this is the, you know, this is where the season starts here, right? And you're going to be, you want to be aggressive here on these first couple laps to kind of show that you might be the guy early to go out there and lead some laps. But, yeah, it just looked like Michael Earl might have just, you know, gave a little bit too much of a shove there. The 56 is a little bit off center. And that's the thing, though, is if he's got someone up his tailpipe as well, right, you can't really lift to try to get re-centered back there. And I think that's exactly what happens in the 56. Evan Enriquez around there. Luckily, it looks like Michael was able to just go around there back there. He sits still back up here inside the top 4, back there in 4th, actually, up here in 4th.
Yeah, and Christian, I'm really hoping that this incident just gives everyone an opportunity to take a deep breath, right? Get situated in your sim and just be a little more mindful, right? You know, get the, like I said earlier in our session before the race started, you know, just get the jitters out, right? And I'm glad that it happened earlier rather than later, because the ideal scenario is that these guys are just going to be just a bit more mindful of their surroundings moving forward, and knowing that that incident already took out a few guys, or at least gave them some damage that they have to fix, as we see a lot of them on pit road right now. The hope is that everyone will just hopefully calm down a little bit more at the start of this race.
Someone I want to look at back here is Jimmy. I think one of these drivers here looks like he's got smoke under the engine there. I can't tell who that is. See if we can find him here. That is, maybe we're trying to find, but I thought we saw smoke out of the engine from one of those drivers. So looks like potentially racing the damage already for some of these drivers here. And now one big wreck there. Obviously, when they wreck up towards the front, that makes it very difficult for, you know, there's 42 cars tonight that showed up. It's not 25, it's not 20, it's not 30, it's 42 cars. And when they have to wreck at the front there, it's so easy with these guys in the back. They're just not really having anywhere to go and just going to have to either go through the grass or just kind of get some, you know, damage that really nothing that they can do about.
Yeah, and as we see, lights off on the pace truck right now. Similar starting grid here towards the front. We see that 16 machine jump stepping their starting position by 1 spot, or at least jumping up from where they were running when that incident was. And a lot of organization towards the front, but also we saw that contact, and you know how quickly things can happen in the blink of an eye. But for the time being, once these guys get up to speed and get going under green for a while, I think it's going to be a big question mark with regards to who works best with who and who can really command the front of this field, Christian. That's what it comes down to, is being able to command the lanes and dictate where the runs are going to be coming from, and just honestly being able to be in control of the race as far as the front of the field is concerned.
Exactly. We see Travis, he jumps up a row here, basically. Remember, the 56 was leading the top when he got sent around by the 2. Travis is allowed to, you know, jump around the wreck there. He jumps up to leading the top instead of being that P2 on the top. Duel number 1, so he starts from 3rd back up to 2nd. He'll lead the top side there, and you see Michael Wall is ready to go there in that 9, warming up these tires. We go through 3 and 4.
Yeah, and right now, like I said, Christian, I think it's just going to be all about taking it easy, getting up through the gears, not being too aggressive on the shoves right now, not taking it 3 wide. We already saw someone, I don't know if we noticed it in the booth, Christian, but there was someone who went below the yellow line on the back straightaway right before we went from silence to commentary, but these guys are definitely going to be jockeying for position right now.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, who's going to be aggressive. Obviously, lots of cars to pass here, but obviously a lot of passing opportunities. Pace car back down. Be back to the number 56. Noah Brown leads us back to green here from Daytona.
The second row car is going to get to the rear bumpers of those front two at about the same time. You see Michael Walls beating the two to the punch with the push. He will be locked to the rear bumper of the 65 car. However, on that top line, you see the 16 machine probably going to get quite a good run off the corner of Van Oostendorp with help from the 2 machine.
And once again, that bottom side just a little bit more organized from the start of the race here. 65 getting locked together with Micah. You see Joel Farlow right to the back end of the 9, but here comes the outside here with a huge run, help from Michael Earl in the number 2 machine.
Yeah, Van Oostendorp did a really good job of staying on the right side of that 65 machine despite the push he was getting from Michael Walls in that 9 Lowe's car. You see already a little bit out of shape there. Got to be careful on corner exit to make sure you don't send him around there going into the trioval.
Champion leading the field here as we get ready to start lap number 7 here. Noah Brown doing everything he can to try to keep this number 65 out in front, but here comes the 16. Run on the top side. They're going to be side by side going into 1 and 2.
Yeah, and that 16 car on the high banks of Daytona towards the front of the field, reminiscent of College Racing in their domination in the O'Reilly Series, what used to be the Xfinity Series, and their super speedway program. He's going to get a really good shove from the 2 machine. A 3-car tandem almost in the top line. The 2 car will jump down to the bottom.
Here comes Michael Earl to the bottom side. He's going to leave out that number 16 that he was pushing so well now. It's going to be side by side to 3 and 4. Michael Earl with the help from the 65. Now it's going to be the number 94 helping the 16 of Van Oostendorp up to the lead. Give it to the 16.
Yeah, and that 2 machine, that tenacity was there for Michael Earl. He knew he wanted to get towards the front. He needed to get towards the front, and that's exactly what he did going into turn 4. The question is whether or not he's going to be able to clear and really get in front of these people in the front of the pack.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, who can be aggressive with the shoves here. I've seen that number 94 of Jones not really be as aggressive to get to the back half of the 16, but that momentum on the top side really good right now as they go into 3 and 4, still side by side for the race lead.
Yeah, just as you were saying that, Christian, I noticed the 94 machine, second in line on the top, was really, really out of shape. Just kind of moving back and forth, not able to get squared up on the 16's rear bumper, and we see the effect of that now. Almost third place of Michael Walls was able to clear mid-corner, but now the momentum to the top lane.
And the 94 looking really out of shape there. You just see him just kind of oscillating back and forth there. And honestly, like Matthew, if you're the 16 there, do you want someone like that pushing you who's having a little bit of stability issues as you still see side-by-side action? The 94 is looking to have a little bit of handling issues. If you're the 16, are you a little bit wary to take that push?
Yeah, and I think earlier in this race, that's not really what you want to see because, one wrong move and you could all be going around here, and you still see the 94 not able to get square, even on the straightaway after a whole lap of being able to gather it back together there. At this point, if you're the 16, you're thinking, hey, maybe I want to drop down and get in line here, just ride it out because I don't want to be jeopardizing my track position right here and the possibility of getting involved in a wreck if this 94 machine isn't able to hold it together. But you see the 16 car really, really close, almost contact there.
Well, I saw the 65 of Noah Brown. He got squirrely. He was getting help from the 9 of Michael Walls there, and I think the 16 being really reactive to that. Jumped up to the top, tried to give the bottom as much, room to, keep their cars going straight there. Really good heads up driving by the 16, but going back to what you were saying, Matthew, right? I think the 16 might want to get down, but there's no holds, right? I mean, he's kind of stuck to that top side right now unless someone wants to lift, give him an opportunity to get down to the bottom, and once again, he's still stuck right behind that 94 who's having some handling issues there. I mean, what can you do if you're the 16 of Van Oostendorp?
Yeah, and so long as he's staying up there, you see a lot of guys are already dropping down from the top lane. The advantage to the bottom lane here, and regardless of that momentum that you're going to have on the top lane on corner exit, it's not going to be able to usurp the amount of cars and pushing and strength in numbers that's on the bottom of the racetrack. And I think we're going to see that once again as the 9 car, Michael Walls, washing up just a little bit. Christian, talk to us a little bit about handling on the bottom of the racetrack.
Yeah, obviously, I mean, ideally you just want to be kind of glued to that bottom side there, kind of painting that yellow line. Here comes Michael Walls at the top side. He's going to get help from Van Oostendorp there. The 94 jumps inside. You see the 65 also upset there, chasing it up the track there. But obviously, you know, going back to the handling, it can be super sketchy, especially when you're getting the pushes with the dirty air, with everything else. Here comes in that Michael Walls. You know he's going to be aggressive, trying to take it 3 wide for the race lead.
Wow, what a move. The 2-car just in the sucker hole there. Not anything that he's able to do to defend with. You saw him try to get the aggressive side draft.
Oh,
the 9 machine, and they're wrecking into turn 1.
Oh, Farlow. Huge hit to the outside wall. I think that's race over. I think I heard that engine expire on the number 24 machine. Joel Farlow, huge hit to the outside wall here out of turn 2.
Yeah, that was absolutely massive. We saw Micah Walls with a push, and he was already out of shape mid-corner, but he was on his way down the racetrack, completely clipped that car going into the outside wall, getting some air, I believe. Would not be surprised if there was terminal damage.
You see the 16 right there, really aggressive shoves in the back of the 9 there. And this is what I was talking about. You cannot push in the corner there. Unfortunately, Joel Farlow, the person who's
oh my gosh, he went over him.
And Joel Farlow is the person who pays for this, and that's just from pushing in the corners. We talked about in the pre-race. Unless you really know the guy and they know you really well and they know that they can take the push, you cannot do that. That was just a little tiny push to the back of the 9 down the track and up over the air. You see the 24, yeah, launching over the 9 there, and a huge race-ending damage there for the 24, Joel Farlow. Obviously, Joel, we looked at to be a potential favorite to come and win tonight. Obviously, won a super speedway here 2 seasons ago with the AWC side of things. Now going to be up in smoke here early on lap 13.
Yeah, and just really unfortunate, Christian. And I think what that came down to with the number 16 car was just not being behind a car those previous few laps. He was leading that top lane for so long, and as soon as you get behind someone, become the pusher, you know, your feel for the car and the handling overall just changes. And so he's really lucky to have gotten out of that without some serious damage, despite being the main perpetrator of that accident, talking about the 16 car. But for the time being, just really unfortunate for all those cars involved, because that's not what you want to see with less than a quarter of this race finished.
I'm interested to see if the sim's going to allow Micah to get this car fixed up. Regardless, I don't see a lot of wheel damage or anything. I just see a lot of front end cosmetic damage to the 9 there. You see the back end all pushed in as well. I'm interested to see if it's going to allow Micah to, you know, maybe get a new hood for this machine, try to figure out what the damage is like, or if it's going to be race-ending damage there for the number 9 machine.
Yeah, and especially when you have contact here with the outside wall Daytona, you know, no matter how small it may seem on our end, you know, it really is not indicative of, you know, any other underlying mechanical damage, right? And, you know, Christian, you've been in the sim a lot. You've been in a lot of different cars, especially at this racetrack. What's the threshold for the damage that these cars can take without it really affecting, you know, the speed that you can have in the draft? Is it okay to have cosmetic damage? Is it even okay to have some mechanical damage? At what point do you have to think, man, I'm really handicapped here and I need to just be careful about where I'm putting my car, make sure I'm not impeding the others around me?
Yeah, I think the big thing to talk about early is, you know, that wheel damage, right? Because iRacing in the sim, they make it very indicative of if you have any kind of wheel damage for the most part, you're out of luck, right? It's unfortunately just the way the sim works right now, that if you kind of get any broken kind of wheel damage, anything like that, for the most part, it's going to tell you they can't fix it. But when it comes to, you know, the actual cosmetic damage of the car, right? At these super speedways, I think it is going to mean a little bit more than a lot of the other tracks here. But for me, especially at these super speedways, I'm going to look more at the RPMs, right? Because you're really pushing these cars as hard as you can. And if you have even, you know, 100 RPM less, you can't really get up there, especially go up there and try to lead laps or something like that. You might, if you're Micah and you can get this fixed to at least get the RPMs, you know, consistently to a somewhat competitive pace, you might see this 9 be able to hold on. But the big issue for the 9, in my opinion, is going to be can he hold on to the draft right now with what the damage he has.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point, Christian, about the RPMs. When we're at Daytona here, a lot of the times we're talking about drafting, we're talking about pushing, right? In these O'Reilly machines, is overheating an issue when you're riding in line for so long at full throttle?
Yeah, I'm unsure, you know, obviously when you're pushing and stuff, any car you come to the sim in is gonna have the issue of, like, you got to back off and save temps. But I don't know I'm not sure really about these O'Reilly machines if overheating is going to be an issue riding by yourself. Obviously, I have blown up by myself after getting some front end damage. And not only here at Daytona, but just like in various other tracks, especially like the mile and a half kind of tracks here. So yeah, with the damage, you know, even Micah, he might have to come down and just kind of take the L, go laps down if he is still blowing up, because obviously no fast repairs here for the ARC Pro Series drivers. He might have to just come down if he is blowing up by himself and just kind of fix the damage, go laps down here, and hope for some cautions to get him back on the lead lap.
Yeah, and quite honestly, you know, that approach isn't the end of the world, all considering, because we've had caution so far, like I mentioned, without even being a third of the way or even a quarter of a way through the race. So wouldn't be all that terrible if he was to do that. But as we take a look towards the front of this field here, we see a lot of cars that have been up here towards the front. Right now, 65 machine still commanding that bottom line, but now the 94 going to be on that top side leading on this restart.
Something I want to talk about, right? We talked about people saying, like, I want to be up towards the front because they don't wreck. Both of our cautions that have been pretty massive wrecks have been inside this top 6. So is it, Matthew, do you think some of these drivers will adjust the way they want to race here, being up towards the front?
You know, quite honestly, Christian, I think you need to be on the more conservative side for the time being, just because of the uncertainty of everyone trying to figure out who they work best with, and those 2 cautions being in the front, like you mentioned, Christian. So dropping back right now and being a little less aggressive, I think that's a good idea for a long-term success.
Be back to green here. Noah Brown back to the jump here. Another good start from the bottom side there. We get ready to enter turn 1 and 2.
You see a lot of separation on the bottom, though. That's going to drag that 16 really close to that 65 car, but that's going to give that top lane, I think, a pretty good run off the corner. Be interested to see if the 65 decides to jump up and block, maybe.
Yeah, I'm going to be interested to see, because now both kind of lanes got out. There was kind of a 2-car tango for both sides that kind of got out and going, but now the whole pack caught back up. Now the bottom and the top, you would say about 6 or 7 cars on both sides starting to push the leaders back out here to 3 and 4.
And like I was saying, Christian, you know, I don't think it's a bad idea to, you know, show the car on the top lane that you're blocking. Show it early. Try to see where your car's at, where your handling's at with coming off the corner and swooping up to that top side. And obviously making it known that that's your move, right? You're coming off the corner, you jump up to the top, you're showing your hand early rather than later. As we see right now, a lot of aggressive shoving from both these top 4. Once again, the 16 car pushing that 65 a little bit squirrely on the bottom of the racetrack. Got to be really careful pushing those rear bumpers.
All right, now I'm board with the 16, and he is not giving up this. He said, hey, I'm going to push you, and you're going to take it, and you're going to like it right now for Noah Brown. And he's been probably the most aggressive pusher up here towards the front there as he tries to keep that bottom line going. Noah Brown continuing the lead lap after lap here. That number Toyota and that Toyota Supra there, but here comes the 94. Jackson Jones in the 94. I think he's going to get him at the line here. Huge help from Michael Earl.
Yeah, I'm just, you know, wincing every time that 16 car gets close to that bumper of that 65 machine of Brown, because I mean, that is just so out of shape. Trying to push when you're sliding across the rear bumper, not a really good recipe for success. And I think the 16 car is just really showing, as we see, wrecking in the back with the 46 machine, at least 2 cars up to the outside wall.
Cars stop back here, further back here. You can grab them there. It looks like Robert Izzo and the number 46, that Chevy Camaro around. This was kind of wrecking further in the middle of the pack here. We'll have to see where this all started. Go back on board.
Yeah, I would have to say probably off corner exit.
Here's Izzo on the 46.
Oh, no.
Yeah, just try to get down in front of the 8 there. Not clear. It's Bryson Bird up into the outside wall. Outside of that, I don't see a lot of cars with any other damage. I see the 38 of Matt Steiner. He got spun around there, but I think for the most part, I think the 46 is the guy who kind of got the most amount of damage, which you hate to say that, you know, the damage deserved one way or another, but he clearly caused the wreck there. I feel like it's, you know, I wouldn't say deserved, but I think, you know, if anybody deserves to have, you know, racing damage, it is the 46 there. But third caution in the race here already, Matthew. Not even 20 laps in.
Yeah, this is really just going to be, I think, a slugfest when you think about it, right? Who's going to be able to avoid wrecks? Who's going to be able to be aggressive when it's the most appropriate? And honestly, just being able to follow a strategy that, complements this kind of, unpredictable racing, right? We talked about it earlier with the 9 car, getting that damage, right? If you have nothing to lose, why not, fix your damage, right? Make sure that you have everything you need to have that success. But right now, we see a lot of drivers going to take it down pit road.
Noah Brown's going to be the first driver who brings the whole, I would say a good quarter of the field down pit road. And a lot of drivers continuing to get a track position here. If I'm the 65, if this is where you want to be, remember, we were told that, the pit window is about, 28 to 33 laps here. So, and we're on lap 20. Granted, we've probably paced for a good, 8 or 9 laps here. But I don't think it's a bad idea here to come down, top off on Sunoco, race fuel, and in my opinion, kind of keep yourself safe here in the back of the pack.
Yeah, and I totally agree with being in the back of the pack, Christian. That's a really good point because not only are you going to be getting, fresh tires and Sunoco racing fuel, but you're going to have that track position that allows you to maneuver around any incidents, hopefully, and be away from all the chaos and carnage that we've seen. Once again, Christian, I think that incident within the top 10 at least, or top half of the field at least. So right now, I mean, if you're just thinking about staying alive, I'm thinking that this is definitely not a bad move, but we see Bryson Bird still on pit road, obviously after that hard hit.
He was kind of the only other guy who got contact with the 46 there on that last caution. You see him still down pit side alongside Micah Wall, still trying to get this car fixed. I'm just interested to see if they're gonna, if they ever put a hood back on this 9 machine. Might have to maybe negotiate with some of the race fans. Maybe they snug it off the track there or something, because they still do not have a hood on this number 9 machine.
Yeah, this 9 car just not the night that he wanted to have. Started up towards the front of the field, was really just hanging in there with that top several drivers that we were talking about, and eventually got caught up in that incident. Really unfortunate for him, but as we eclipse 1/5 of the way through this event, Christian, if this continues, I'm not really sure that there is any prevailing strategy that's going to come out on the top here, because, like I mentioned, the unpredictability of everything just kind of throws almost all strategy out the window, right? We could see a lot of guys that are nowhere near the front of the field here end up having a chance towards the end of the race. So I would say for the time being, no one is safe.
Yeah, I'd agree. We've had 3 cautions, and we've seen the cautions come about, people just being a little bit too aggressive, trying to squeeze into holes that aren't there, trying to push a little bit too hard than they should, right? Early in the race. I get it if it's 10-5 to go, and it's for all the marbles here, but we're not even a fifth. Well, we now just eclipsed the 5th of the way done. You figured that some of these drivers would be like, hey, I need to make it to the end of the race. You get less, try to go out and try to win it. And right now, just going up there and racing hard inside this top 5 is not how you're going to get it done.
Yeah, for sure, Christian. And we see those lights off the pace truck now. Right now, if I'm in the race car, I'm just thinking, hey, I've survived up to this point, and right now I just need to use my head. I need to see things before they happen and be mindful as a driver, and to make proactive moves and find people that I work well with. Because right now, I think everybody who, like you mentioned, Christian, trying to squeeze into a hole that isn't there, giving a bad push, taking a bad push, all these things have been from just unfamiliarity with those that are around you. You can't expect people to cut you a break, especially if you don't know how they drive. And with that in mind, we have to just remember that a lot of these drivers are coming from different series, right? We know all the AWC guys are used to most of the others that have carried over from that series, but just the overall unfamiliarity is definitely going to play a factor in these next 80 laps here at Daytona.
I definitely agree. And you kind of put it on the dot there. You can't afford to give someone a break here with how easy it is to get caught up in something, right? And that just means you have to be a lot more cordial here. So just over 1/5 of the way done. New race leader, though. You'll see the 94. We're back into the United Rentals restart zone. Another good jump by the bottom, back green.
You see that 2 car actually able to clear down because of that gap. Pretty surprised by that. We haven't seen that all race so far. The 20 car gonna get stranded on an island on the top of the racetrack. That 12 machine now gonna be leading the top, followed by the 87 car. Hey, we talked to him at the beginning of the race. That 87 of Dane Cruz. Where did he come from? Starting in 42nd, I believe it was. And now he is leading, no, not leading the top lane. He's second on the top lane, giving a shove to that 12 car.
Yeah, he's definitely been someone I've been looking at in the background here and trying to find the time to look at him. You see him up 34 spots from where he started there, and that number 87 machine up there. Now he's up there. I believe now he's even making up more spots. Now up 37 from where he started, and that number 87, Dan Cruz. We talked about it. He wanted to be aggressive to get up towards the front. He wants to be leading this race, and he's doing a good job doing it right now. He's going to actually try to lead the bottom. He's going to get down there. About third in line. Really indecisive where he wants to go right now, but up to P3 for the 87.
Yeah, and I like that move that Michael Earl pulled, being able to jump to the top and then jump back down with those 3 cars right behind him. Really just showing that he's in control of his car right now. He can see the moves as they're coming to him, and he can do something with it. But right now, you see Cruz thinking, hey, I want to get to the top of this field, man. I want to just send it here. We talked about it in the pre-race. This guy has nothing to lose. Came in after losing his dual spot. Didn't even think he was going to be racing tonight. Got in on basically on a whim because somebody didn't show up. And now he's going to be racing for the lead here.
You see the 7, Luke Allen, trying to push that 87 up the race lead. You'll see them side by side with the 12 and those 2 Penske cars leading the bottom there. Here comes the 87. Going to have a huge run off the top there. Going to try to make it side by side with Michael Earl. Here he goes, racing for the race lead.
Yeah, and look at that ability to line up and get square with that 87 car. You see just a little bit of getting out of shape there. Going into the corner, got to be careful, but you heard him lift off of that gas. That's what you want to hear if you're the 87 car. If you were able to hear that in the sim, you appreciate that they're able to sense that you're getting a little out of shape going into the corner, and that's not where you want to take a push. So that's some pretty heads-up driving on that top lane.
No, and that's what you want to see out of Luke, right? We've seen the aggressiveness go down there. As you saw Luke, I think he wanted to go down with the 87, not going to get clear. He'll lead the top. Now here comes Dan Cruz. Last to first here for the 87, up to the lead there. But yeah, going back to Luke, that's what you want to see. A little bit of patience out of that pusher car to, keep everybody safe right now. On lap 25, we just eclipsed the 1/4 mark here. Tonight's race, Dan Cruz up to the lead.
Yeah, and how about Danny Cocker in that 11 machine on the top lane, Toyota Supra, that white car. Haven't talked about him all night, but he is doing a mighty fine job. Second in line on that top lane, giving some pushes to the 7 machine of that Mountain Dew car of Luke Allen. Right now, they are doing quite a good job just holding their own, making sure that they're just, crossing their T's, dotting their I's. And I think if they continue that, they are going to be marching towards the front of this field, just like we saw with that 97 machine of Dane Cruz. 87.
And Jimmy's been really quiet. We see him started back there 9th inside the top 10, back up now to 6th now as he's pushing the top side. And yeah, had a really quiet night right now, but up here inside the top 5, top 6 conversation, putting himself in the spot here to potentially get some TV time as he is actually there in that Virginia Tech machine.
Yeah, and we talked about it, Christian, with just staying in contention, right? Just staying in the race. That's all that matters. And for those guys that started further back in the field and maybe got shuffled back there at one point in time, we saw 37th was as far low that the 11 car got. I mean, you see him all the way up towards the front of the field, so none of that matters, right? So, I mean, that's pretty empowering seeing how these guys are able to make up all that position. But we also see Joseph Smith, one of our AWC familiars, in that orange and black 31 Ford Dark Horse Mustang on the top of the track. We know that he's going to be marching towards the front of this field here, too.
Yeah, and that's just the way the track is. There's so many highs and lows here with Daytona. We saw lowest at 37, 311, back up here inside the top 5. It's so easy if you can put yourself together with someone else to get up back towards the front, to make sure that you can get that track position back. It's not, like another track that I would say takes, I'm not going to say it doesn't take skill to race here at the super speedways, but if you can get together with the right person, it's not hard to get up towards the front. You look at what Dane Cruz did here in just 25 laps, 41st, up to the lead here with a commanding pace here. And it looks like Michael Earl right now completely content, pushing that 87 back up to the lead.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome of Earl to just realize that.
Oh, the 12
Oh,
to the
huge
outside
wreck coming
wall.
out of turn 2. The 12 machine with a big hit to the outside wall.
Just as we talked about, people trying to be safe and take care of each other. Another huge hit to the outside wall down here in the backstretch. And that might be end over for that number 12 machine of Justin Terrell there. We'll go ahead and take another look here. See what happened to that 12. We like I said, we just preached about. Everybody being patient here. Just another one happens here. You're on lap 27.
You see the 12 car getting in that middle lane, not clear on the top, and now he's in the sucker hole that you just cannot afford to give up that bottom, Christian. And we see the car scattering down the back straightaway.
Yeah, I think you saw the 4 get a little piece of that, and we'll go back there just to, I would say, another 15 seconds and take another look and see. And we'll back it up here. And I think that 12 wanted to lead the top here. You see him, he's slowly inching up the track, inching up the track. The 7 says, no, I'm not going to let you do that. He jumps to the outside there, and now he's in the sucker hole. You see the 94 to the bottom, the 7 barely to his outside there, and I just don't think he got you just think that the 12 thought he was still clear there, tried to jump up in front of the 7 of Allen there, who had done a really good job driving his way back up towards the front there. And you see the 12 off the front bumper of the 7 there. Yeah, you see the 4, just a little bit of contact there to the 12 machine there. I don't think a lot of damage there to the 4 machine of Jacob B. Davis. But yeah, that's just kind of, what happens here at these super speedways. It's kind of, a game of inches there in those kind of situations.
Yeah, and Christian, these cars really do become magnets on corner exit and mid corner when you get close to those quarter panels. And we saw that 7 car, like I mentioned, not giving him a break. And you can't expect as the 12 car that he's just going to let you slide up in front of him. That 12 car, I don't think he realized, but the 7 car had a few guys with a really big head of steam behind him. So definitely not a good position to just lift and let somebody in there. But we see now more pit stops under yellow here.
And it's going to take probably, I would say, 30 of the 42 cars down pit road here. Everybody coming down. Remember that fuel window, 28 to 33 laps. Obviously, I think it was a little bit longer this time with how many caution laps we had here and a little stop and go there for the 87 there. Some more races off pit road. Here comes the 31. Here comes some more drivers out of pit road there. It's a little bit of pit strategy there.
Man.
As you saw, some drivers fuel only, some drivers 2, some drivers 4 tires.
What a great race off pit road that was. Almost the entire field going down pit lane, get some Ford Fresh Goodyear tires and some Sunoco Racing fuel. I mean, Christian, this is a huge pit road, but walk us through, what the procedure is for just getting into your box. What is the countdown like? What goes through your head, and how do you make sure that you just have a clean in and out without speeding?
Yeah, obviously, a lot of these drivers do have that crew chief in their head, whether it's a real life one or whether it's the virtual one. And when it comes to virtual crew chiefs, you have a lot of different options here on the simulator that you can pick and choose from. But it's just, at least during practice, especially here for these super speedways, you'll see a lot more drivers go out there with the practice pit in, pit out. If we do get to that threshold to where we do get green flag pit stops, that's where you put yourself in a spot to either lose intention to win a race or win, or put yourself in a spot to win the race for the win here at the end there. If we do get to an opportunity to have green flag pit stops, right? So just about practice, hitting your marks, getting in your box, don't slide the tires there, get in, get out.
Yeah, some great insight from a guy who's been around here a few times at Daytona in the sim. Appreciate that insight, Christian. And right now, as we continue under pacing, looks like we're going to have a few guys that we haven't seen up front in a while staying out here, I think.
That looks to be Matthew Chastain, Ryan Ronnebaum. They pitted, 16 and 10 laps ago, respectfully. You see Matthew Chastain up to the front of the field here. He'll lead some laps here in the first race of the season, and he'll lead us back to green there in that number 75 machine.
Yeah, Matthew Chastain, though we may not have seen him up towards the front a lot today, like I mentioned, he's been around as well. Matthew Chastain had maybe not the most speed as other drivers in the AWC Pro Series, but he definitely had a lot of good opportunities to, have some good finishes. We also see that 31 car of Joseph Smith, second in line on the top, another AWC familiar, and also the 18 car, like you mentioned, Christian, someone that we're familiar with from the AWC and Ryan Ronnebaum. So right now we have pretty much 3 guys that are used to running with each other in the AWC in that top 4. Then further on back, we got, I believe, Carlos Acosta in that 0-2 3-wide TV car. So, I mean, Christian, if I'm in the top 10 here and I'm familiar with how some of these guys race, you know, I'm going to try to work with them whether they're on my team or not, just because, you know, I'm going to be grasping at straws if I have no other options. So I'd rather go with some sense of familiarity than nothing.
Oh, and that's a big thing, right? At the end of the race there, if you don't have a teammate, people are going to naturally go to people that they know how they race and know that they can trust, right? Because at the end of the day, these super speedways are a sense of a trust race. Who do you trust to work with, regardless if it's a teammate or not? I know there's been situations where teammates don't trust each other to push themselves up to the front, and they're just kind of, you know, in a VC together. But, you know, sometimes some people aren't compatible together, even though they race well together, right? So it's just going to be about familiarity and who can you trust to get yourself up to the front here at the end.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Christian. Getting ready to go green here, though. This pace truck pulls off onto pit lane. 2x2. These guys going to get ready to go up through the gears. Go back green at Daytona.
Matthew Chastain and Ryan Ronnebaum, 2 AWC regulars here, coming back to ARC. Side by side in a 1 and 2. Pretty even start for both these drivers up here leading the field.
Yeah, an even start, Christian, and even more so an even push coming for both of these drivers in the top 2, I believe. But way more separation further on back. I'm not quite sure what happened with all those other guys, but now working their way up through the gears, we see the top 10 or so getting sorted out, as we see now the 65 car splitting them 3 wide.
Noah Brown back up to the front. Remember, he was up towards the front, came down. He was at kind of the couple of guys who came down first down pit road, remember? Now, he kind of cycled himself up to the front with the caution that just happened there with the 12 machine. Now look at Noah Brown back up to the front here. He'll lead here going to lap 33.
How about Matthew C. White? Where has he been this entire race? And another great block out there from the 65 car. Getting up to the top of the track, we see Carlos Acosta third in line on the top. But what a cool paint scheme out of that 28 machine. That really caught my eye. And right now, they are really, really tight off the corner. Almost lost it there on the bottom of the racetrack. That'll happen when you're not used to leading here.
Yeah, that was the 18 of Ryan there, who almost got into the door of the 65 there. But going back to Matthew C. Wyatt, someone I'm looking at, not only here from Daytona for the rest of the season, we saw him be very, very quick in those last couple races. He joined us last year in the AWC Pro Series and went off and knocked, what, 3 wins in a row there in that number 28 machine. I'm looking at this 28 to be a contender here in Season 7 here for the ARC guys, as he sees him leading the top there, help from Acosta, help from Joseph Smith in the 31.
Yeah, and another guy that you just mentioned, Christian, Carlos Acosta, we saw him make some pretty incredible moves towards the ends of races in the AWC Pro Series that we broadcasted. Don't sleep on him. He knows how to get it done, and he knows how to maneuver around these cars, as we see a look from behind of Matthew White with the Chipotle onboard camera and that 3-wide TV machine 02 Toyota Supra of Carlos Acosta. Definitely being a mindful driver right now, riding in line, but it's someone to keep an eye on for sure.
Yeah, and I wanted to look back at this camera. You see some, you know, the 2x2, but you see further back, some drop starting to get single file there on that bottom side, knowing that the inevitable could come at any moment, right? And they want to put themselves in a really good spot to get around the carnage if that would happen. But you see now the bottom side a little bit more put together. Matthew White, a little bit of separation with him between him and 02. Costa's going to need some help to get back up to the 28 machine.
Yeah, and if I'm that 65 car, you saw the flames out of the tailpipes of that third place in line car into the bottom of the racetrack. Definitely had to lift a lot on that corner, coming out of the corner rather. But if I'm the 65 car, I know that 18 had that almost near miss coming off the corner, and I got to be mindful of the pushes that I'm getting here moving forward. So definitely a little on edge for the 65 car on the bottom of the racetrack. But moving forward, I mean, you got to get whatever you can get at this point.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good point you made there, Matthew, and especially if you're leading the field. You're not back there 6th or 7th where you can just drop out of line there. No driver tonight is going to pull down, slow down, go down on the apron here out of turn 2, leading the race because they don't like the pressure. They're going to hope that that the guy pushing them out front is going to do a good job to keep them safe. But once again, you'll see the 28, Matthew. He gets out to the front here, help from 02, and now he drops down to the bottom. We're going to get in front of the 65. Noah Brown, once again, trying to make some moves.
Yeah, and obviously Matthew Wyatt, he sensed the momentum. He knew that that run was coming, and even though it didn't get to him in the mid-corners, see way out of shape. And they are wrecking, in fact, in the tri-oval. A huge wreck.
A huge wreck here out of turn 1 and 2. I saw Jake, the first driver. Wow, a huge avoidance by the 81, but further back here. I think I saw that all kind of started with the 77 to Jake Scarborough. I think he got a bad shove, maybe a little bit of a check up there on the top side, and they almost saved it. Unfortunately, couldn't get it done here on lap number 37.
Yeah, we'll see it on the replay, but Dane Cruz made just a slight move to peek his nose out, or maybe peek it out, and then the 77 Aaron's Dream Machine car just faded up the racetrack just enough to get him 3 wide and a bit out of shape. You see right there, they had it figured out for a second.
See back here, it looked like maybe the 77 had a run. Kind of lifted there, tried to look 3, wasn't clear, lifted because he was probably gonna wreck the 31 there. So he had to get out of the gas there. You just see just kind of, the accordion effect that we've seen so many times. This 37 hooked up into the outside wall there. Nowhere to go for the drivers further on back here. They see the 94, 44 involved. You see the 68 at Watermollen. Big tattoo to the side of the 77 there. Just nowhere to go for a lot of these drivers there. Just a big checkup there. And just, this is what happens when you have these big accordions. There's nowhere for anybody to go. The momentum is so high that even if you do get on the binders, you can't expect the driver behind you and the driver behind him and further on back there to check up in time.
Yeah, and that was just the classic tri-oval getting out of shape situation, right? These guys, they're flooring it, and the tri-oval is so tricky because, as we just saw, one wrong move can really just cascade and snowball throughout the rest of the field further on back, and they almost sorted it out on their own, but it was just a little too overwhelming for all those drivers in the front. So definitely something to be mindful of moving forward, and I believe that is the first tri-oval specific wreck that we've had in this race.
A great job by Jake to try to just keep everybody going, keep everybody clean there, but unfortunately, the momentum was too high. You saw him. I think they would have kept it clear there, but you saw the 87 to Dane make slight contact with the 44 there, and here comes everybody down pit road here with the damage. A little bit of a stack up here.
Oh, man.
The 40 is stopped here on pit insurance. I think he might have to let someone go potentially. He does not want to give himself a penalty, and now there's a little bit of a standoff here on pit insurance.
Wow. Unbelievable stuff. And I mean, yeah, that just goes to show, like, there's so much chaos in addition to what's happening on the racetrack with timing and scoring and getting black flags cleared and penalties that, after you've been in a wreck, you're hot, you're in the car, you're just feeling all the emotions after being in an incident like that, and the last thing you want is to be speeding on pit road or have a problem that just adds to your already terrible day. And for a lot of these guys, we see Michael Wall still on the pit lane there. Just really unfortunate situation. And the tri-oval is such a difficult location to avoid a wreck from because you're already turning left into that corner. So that you're not going to have much more margin to turn before spinning out your car. So as soon as there's smoke and everyone starts to scramble, it's pretty much just up to you as a driver to figure out the best path forward. But for many of those drivers, there was not much of a path forward, and right now it's going to once again shuffle up a lot of these cars as we come up on 10 laps to halfway in this event.
Looks like the 31, Joseph Smith, he leads the race off pit road there. A couple of drivers, looks like eighth on up, my apologies. Tried to stay out here, take the track position. So it's going to be the 31 on Joseph Smith. He leads kind of the race off pit road here. And someone I want to go up here and look at is this 47, AJ Nickel. We haven't talked about him all race long. He started back there outside the top 15. Has done a really good job getting himself up back towards the top there in that Armor All machine. No, he was one of the big, guys to get, for the merger here with the ARC and the AWC guys. So cool to see AJ up here inside this top 5.
yeah, great to see AJ up front here with the Armor All 47 machine. And who else other than Carlos Acosta right in front of him? You know, Christian, we didn't do a race pick at the beginning of our broadcast, but if you had to ask me, I am a little biased in terms of the AWC familiarity with a lot of these drivers, but Carlos Acosta has just done a well of a job keeping it up front and clean and in shape throughout the entirety of this race, and has just really kept his car where it needs to be at all times so far. And if he keeps that up through the halfway point of this event, I'm thinking that he could be a good choice for the time being.
We have some people in chat, you know, wanting some other people to win here. We have a certain person in Jeffrey Truss. He said 500 on Enrique here. So we got some, you know, we got some picks here. If you're gonna make me go on the spy here, I'm gonna go, you know, Bryson, last season's champion. He's got a little bit of damage on that 42, but long race to go. I think he. You know, he's got a good shot here. He wants redemption. You know, coming runner-up 2 seasons in a row in that championship fight. I think he's hungry to get up towards the front once again.
Yeah, that's a really good choice, Christian. And shout out to everyone in the YouTube chat. Keep letting us know what your thoughts are, who your picks are. What do you think of the race? What do you think of the broadcast? Are you guys excited to be here at the Daytona International Speedway? We certainly are up here in the booth, but definitely a good pick, Christian, out of Bryson Bird. So 5th place in the previous AWC season opener here for Bryson Bird. We'll see if he can make his way up towards the front of this field. Back green at Daytona International Speedway.
A huge jump by Matthew D. Wyatt, now Chastain in the 28. He's actually going to get clear. Going to bring Carlos Acosta and a number 02 with him. But a huge gap back to the rest of the field there, third on back.
Man, they must have put Gatorade in that fuel mix, because he is a rocket right now, flying. And what a move to block that run from Carlos Acosta with that 2-car breakaway. Right now, we see the 47 car of Nickel. AJ trying to make his way to the front. He'll now have the 65 car to his outside. Right now, they're getting back up through the gears, up to speed. We'll have a full lap up to speed right now and see how these drivers fare.
Yeah, you saw it. You know, some aggressive blocks there. The 28 of Matthew White still trying to block the bottom, but here comes the 02 of Acosta. He's going to go up there and jump up in front of that top side there, help from the 65. Caution.
Another yellow here as we see problems further on back. The 14 car of Randall Payne, as well as the 85 machine. That's going to be another set of caution laps here. Hopefully a quick yellow. Looks that everyone is back under speed and underway here. We'll take a look at our replay, Christian.
Looking at the 85, Kynan Jones here. You saw him spun around here. The 3 wide back there. That's the 16 of Van Oostendorp.
No.
Still three, and the 7. What? Right there. Oh, man, that's the 46 just coming out of pit road. He's going to get a little collective damage there.
That's gotta hurt, man. I mean, you're minding your own, coming off a pit lane, following the rules, and just get blindsided, honestly. But the 7 car, you know, I'm not so sure he didn't have a problem in his sim.
Well, I will say this is that they did an update on the sim here. And if you have someone on your right rear, it just like in real life, it can suck you around like kind of how it did there. So I'm not sure that wasn't an issue in the sim, and that's just the way the car was. Luckily, I think the 46 got away kind of scot-free there. Lucky for 46 there, Robert there. But I'm not going to say that for sure that, you know, he kind of got sucked around by the car on his outside, but I'm not going to say that wasn't a possibility, because, you know, I've raced these cars here at the sim, and when you get, you know, someone right on your right rear, it does make the car drive a little bit, you know, less like you want it to, and it was definitely a big shock, because here on the sim, I'll say this, iRacing's done a good job at implementing these kind of aero effects to the car slowly through this oval refresh that they've been trying to do. And yeah, when I first, you know, got that kind of weird handling issue of, wow, like the car's actually getting like sucked around off because someone's aero griefing me, that was something that really took a lot of getting used to there. Now, honestly, I think that's what might have happened to Luke Allen in that 7 machine.
Yeah, I totally agree, Christian. As we come up on almost halfway here, just want to take a moment to shout out a few of our other live chat participants and all 24 viewers on the YouTube side of things, at least. David Wuck giving a good luck to Carlos Acosta, as well as Jacob Plays-FP2DC with some support for the racers here in the ARC iRacing Pro Series. Thanks for all the support, guys, on the stream, on the streaming service side of things. And we hope that you guys have enjoyed this first half of this event. We are hoping it'll be an even better second half. Hopefully some more green flag racing here. But if I'm Carlos Acosta, if I'm that 65 car, the 47 car, I'm just thinking about all these cautions and, you know, what has got me up to the front at this point, right? A lot of different storylines, because we know the 65 has really been up front this entire day. 02 and 47, though, not so much. They've kind of held their own and found a way to get up here. So for different drivers, different perspectives, and different pathways to success so far to get to the front of this field. And I'm just wondering, you know, these guys have to be thinking about just continuing to do the same thing and not changing it up too much, because if you made it up to this point and survived this far, you have to be doing something right.
Yeah, we have that O2 that we can ring up here. Let's see if we can talk to Carlos up here in the HVTV booth. Hey, Carlos, it's Christian and Matthew up in the HVTV booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got a copy. How you doing?
Well, probably not as good as you right now, leading some laps here from the World Center of Racing. You got your Toyota teammate there of the 65 and Noah Brown behind you. This 3Y TV machines looked really flashy and had a lot of speed tonight. Looking up to the front, you know, how, in your opinion, how's the racing been? And, you know, what's the plan to keep this car up front?
We definitely got growing pains with a lot of new drivers, as Race Control's been mentioning. Definitely understand that, and you know, it's still out there fun. I came in this race mentally kind of prepared. I was on it. I had a feeling. I kind of knew what I was doing, and I'm just trying to do the best I can to stay up front and keep my teammates up front as well. But other than that, the plan is to just kind of like see what's going out there, read the runs, and try not to do something stupid.
Anything for him, Matthew, before we let him go back?
Yeah, Carlos, just wanted to wish you some good luck here. Obviously familiar with your driving style and what you bring to the racetrack from the AWC Pro Series side of things. So really appreciate you coming out here this weekend and putting on a show for us up front and the rest of the field.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys as well. People watching, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. These guys are awesome.
We appreciate
Thank
your
you,
time.
Carlos. We appreciate your time, man.
And we wish you good luck in the rest of the race. Carlos up here. He's going to lead the field here. He decides to pick the top side here. He'll leave his Toyota teammate there. Give him the inside here. Going into the restart zone here. So Carlos to the top. Noah Brown to the bottom. You'll see AJ Nickel. Jacob B. Davis up inside the top four.
Jacob B. Davis, man. That's definitely a familiar face here on the HVTV network. Another quick shout out to T-Tops83. Here to watch Wyatt Roberts, hoping for a win. Go Team Firebird. Well, we really appreciate that shout out. Anybody else who's hoping to get a shout out here on the YouTube side of things, at least I'll be keeping tabs on our live chat. So we appreciate all 23 watching right now. Ready to get way under green here. Hope you guys are on the edge of your seats, because I certainly am up here in the booth, Christian.
As we approach just under halfway, 5 laps to go here to the halfway point tonight's race. You'll see the pace car with a hard left turn down pit road, and it's going to be the 2 Toyota teammates. Carlos Acosta, Noah Brown, back in the United Rentals restart zone, back green here from the World Center of Racing.
Up through the gears, a lot of separation, and a great jump and clear down to the bottom of the racetrack from the O2 machine of Carlos Acosta. The 65 car will have to settle for second, as we have a lot of separation right now in a 2-car breakaway.
Yeah, I'm not surprised to see that. I believe the O2 probably jumped in front of the 65 as, you know, a planned attack there, as these two are working together in the same VC. But like we say, a little bit of a two-car tango as they try to get away, but here comes the rest of the pack. Roaring back here, you'll see AJ Nickel reach the inside, trying to get back to those 2 drivers in front.
Yeah, and Jacob Davis in that Pepsi 4 Dark Horse Mustang right there, with help from Joseph Smith. Got a lot of Dark Horse Mustangs on the top of the racetrack. And look at that 2 machine. He was stuck in the sucker hole a few times, at least that I can remember, throughout this race, and he is now 4th in line on the top. Just chugging along, getting through this field.
You talk about team forward racing right there. I think that's the first 5 on the top there. Here comes the 2 of Earl. He's going to make it 3 wide here on the 31, trying to make up some spots here. Going to try to get clear here, but still in the sucker hole. Going to try to get clear.
Oh, look at Enrique Cucalone, followed by the 87 car of Dane Cruz. Wow, they are dicing right now. 3 wide, further back in the pack.
Yeah, they're going to still see 3 wide. We saw Matthew Chastain jump up at the top side. We're going to look for the back here. There's still the Earl machine and that 2 machine. Trying to make something happen here. Still middle 3. Going to get help from Dan Cruz. Going to get help from Enriquez there, back there. And now it's going to be that 31 kind of stuck up on his own there. These guys got to figure it out because they're losing a lot of time now. Enrique, though, in that 22, up inside the top 10.
Oh, man, I'm just clenching my teeth as they go through that trial. But as we see another wreck, a huge hit to the outside wall. Wyatt Roberts up in the air. An unbelievable wreck here coming out of the trial hole.
Another big hit to the outside wall tonight here from Daytona, and we just cannot get away from it. Just aggressive shovings and race-ending impacts to the outside wall there. Wyatt Roberts completely tore up here. 3 wide. This was that 3 wide. We're looking back further. 87, 31. That 42 side by side, 3 wide. 42. Just up just a tiny bit from that bottom side there. The 87 was just there at the quarter. Hooks himself off the nose of the 87.
Yeah, that was an unbelievable hit. And definitely glad that he landed down on 4 wheels. But you see some terminal damage there, at least for the 42 machine. Possibly some more others as we see Michael Walls in that 9 car going by. Wow, just, I mean, an unfortunate return to Daytona after a 15th place finish in the AWC Pro Series last time we had the season opener here. So, very unfortunate for Wyatt Roberts. A lot of close finishes and runner-ups in the AWC Pro Series. But just, I mean, they really do become magnets, Christian, especially in this trial. And something's got to give, right? These guys have to figure out how to run close with one another if they're going to be 3 wide. Otherwise, you just cannot afford to do that when you're further back in the pack, because when you have guys in front of you and guys behind you, you know, you can't lift. You just cannot afford to, you know, just let anybody in or give anyone a chance to slow down your momentum, because if you do, then you may be the one that gets taken out. And unfortunately, those cars just got together of Dane Cruz and the 42 machine, so looks like it's going to be a race-ending day for the time being.
And that Pontiac Firebird is still parked in pit road there. And, yeah, I mean, it's just, again, when we talked about it earlier this race, a game of inches here. We'll actually eclipse the halfway point here. Under caution, as you see drivers continuing to come in and come out of pit road there. That once again, do another check-in with the 9 of Michael Walls. It still does not have a hood on that machine, but you have to give, you know, credit to this 9, right? Got caught up early in tonight's race. Still on the lead lap, still trying to hang in there. Still trying to get as much damage as he can fix under these cautions. There comes the hood back on the 9.
Yeah, and like you said, Christian, you just got to love that effort, right? The 9 car could have easily all F4'd after that wreck. You know, gone and got some dinner and watched the rest of this race on our streaming platforms from his couch. But he decided that, hey, I'm going to keep running this one out. I don't know how many more cautions there's going to be, but I'm just going to give it my all. And right now, he's definitely put himself to, you know, remain in contention in terms of staying on the lead lap, like you mentioned, Christian. Just trying to take care of all that damage, whether it's optional or not. And for the time being, that 9 car just, you know, chipping away. So I really appreciate that effort out of him.
When you think about this, right? I mean, we just eclipsed halfway, so there's still plenty of time for this 9 to put himself in a spot to get back going here this week. You know, look further back up towards the front. Look at Turcotte, right? Turcotte, I think this is his first lap sled here on the network at that, but he's out here 20 laps on since he's come down pit road. And it looks like, you know, I think the first driver who is out of pit road is all the way back there in 18th, Noah Brown, who was leading the race.
Yeah, and taking a look at Jimmy Cocker once again, 2nd place in line there, as well as that 3rd place in line machine of Matthew Chastain in the 75 car, Enrique Cucalone in the 22, as well as I think the 20 machine of Nolan Crane who got passed up further back in the broadcasts, and really haven't heard much from him up until now again. So these restarts, Christian, always giving opportunities to guys that maybe haven't seen the front of this field so far tonight.
Exactly. I mean, with the cautions being that they are, right? You know, we're slowly eliminating cars one by one. Remember, no faster players right now. Only 32 cars still on track. So we went from 42. We've lost 10 here halfway through, which I'm happy to say that that's a lot less than I thought we would with how many cautions we've had tonight. We've only lost 10. Wyatt Roberts being our last victim here to the World Center of Racing here with all the chaotic racing that can happen here from Daytona. But still a lot of laps to go here. We just eclipsed halfway. 32 drivers still with the shot to go and get this win here from Daytona here in week 1.
Yeah, and with halfway through this race, Christian, you know, this has got to be a mental reset if I'm in the car, right? Regardless of where I'm at. I've made it this far. I've already said it a few times by now, but I've done enough to make it to this point, and I'm not going to change anything up drastically to, you know, hope that I'm going to do better than I already am, because a lot of these guys that have just stayed in contention, stayed out on a pit stop cycle, coming out towards the front, you know, all you need to do is remain in contention, remain with a clean car for the most part, and hope that you don't have luck, you know, against you right here in this last half of the race, because last thing you want is to be, you know, in a good headspace, taking care of the car, riding in line, and being content with your running position, and then all of a sudden getting caught up in the big one. So just have to make sure that you're crossing your T's and dotting your I's right now in this last half of the event.
I definitely agree. You have to be on your P's and Q's right now. Get yourself to the end here to put yourself in a spot. It's going to be the Ducati machine. Back to the start. Back green here. He's going to lead his first laps here from Daytona.
Up through the gears once again. Some more separation on that top lane than the bottom. The 75 machine elects to take to the top of the racetrack, followed by Enrique Cucolone in that 22 machine. We know he has had a lot of really good races under his belt, so he knows how to get it done with that win at Nashville that we had in the AWC Pro Series, and a lot of runner-up finishes for that 22 car, but he has a lot of speed right now. The 11 car of Cocker, he's going to elect to go to the bottom of the racetrack right now, so he's going to have to choose a lane pretty soon here.
And you know that 22, he's hungry to get a win here at World Center of Racing. He's been so close so many times, and either just got, you know, passed up straight up on speed or gotten, you know, wrecked here. Coming to the white here. You look on board here with the 22, pushing the 75 of Chastain out to the race lead. You see a little bit of a different angle here from what we're used to seeing here. Look at the banking that they climb up here, the 30 degrees of banking here in the 1 and 2.
Yeah, very reminiscent of that 2013 first race with the Gen 6 and the Daytona 500 that Jimmy Johnson ended up winning with the onboard camera that was in Kevin Harvick's 29 Budweiser machine, the gyro cam from way back in the day. So very cool to see that in the HVTV broadcast. We appreciate all the guys who put together our overlays and our camera angles here at the network. And right now you just see how abrasive that banking is on the handling of the race car, but Enrique Cucolone doing a pretty good job of just staying tucked in right behind that America 250 machine, leading the race of Matthew Chastain.
And they've been able to really get this top going. I mean, that bottom hasn't even gotten side by side with Cucolone yet. Still continue to see this onboard. And then, you know, we know that Enrique knows how to get it done here at these super speedway tracks, and doing a good job. He's got help from Steiner, one of the other AWC guys, and you're starting to see once again that familiarity start to show here. You see 3 AWC drivers here lined up on the top here. Nolan Crane, I believe he's been a part of the AWC community at least. I think this is one of his first races. Then you see Cocker, Turcati, Michael Earl, all these other guys new to the scene here, at least with the AWC side of things, trying to make it work on the bottom.
Oh, man, way out of shape with the 38 car of Matt Steiner. We know that 20 car, like I mentioned, has been up towards the front at least a few times earlier on in this race. So he's going to try to figure out his handling of the race car, because I'm not sure if that was the 38 or the 20 that was responsible for getting out of shape there, almost going into the tri-oval. But right now, just still trying to figure out the handling of the race car, even halfway through this event.
And we see a big pack of cars here, a big gaggle of cars.
Oh, man.
And still some handling
38
issues from
car.
the 38. Steiner gonna need to get a little bit of help here handling wise, because this top side is starting to fade. If that Steiner machine cannot get back to the 22, here comes the 75. Up to the bottom, now up to the top,
there
and
he
there goes
goes.
Steiner.
Wow. Man, the writing was really on the walls there. We saw it coming for at least a whole lap, but not sure if that was a byproduct of just a bad push or just not being able to take the push, but we are still green here at Daytona.
Yeah, remember, we do have now live race control. I can confirm here in the chats that, you know, the first couple of cautions were kind of free play here. And look how much it separated the front pack here. We have a 3-car breakaway. We'll see if the 18 Iran bomb can get back separated. Now this is going to kind of spice some things up now. Now it's going to force some drivers to have to work with each other here. Right now on board with the 28. Look at the spacing between everybody now. They're going to have to get back going. Trying to get, you know, get back organized to go run down those front 4 cars.
Man, the way that these guys are running right now reminds me of the 2020 Daytona Fall Race, where we just had cars in single file navigating this racetrack and really no pack racing. It was just a few cars breaking away from the rest of the field and racing for the win, but hopefully now we get just a little bit of, you know, sanity right now and a little less chaos, because these guys are just so separated and there's a lot less room for error now.
Yeah, if there's ever writing on the wall that just sit single file, take care of each other, it's right now. You guys are already single file, trying to catch the rest of the field here. You see a 4-car breakaway. The 5th back, that's Throckmorton, my apologies, in the 72. He's going to lead the second pack here, and I don't think they'll have a big issue getting back to these front 4. But at this point, honestly, you know, you guys got to get to the end here. I wouldn't mind just seeing a little bit of single file racing here for a good 20, 25 laps here. Try to take care of each other.
Yeah, taking care of each other will definitely be the name of the game, Christian. And right now, I mean, these guys have done a good job so far, just keeping it together. And I think working together right now is way more apparent when you know that you have strength in numbers in that second pack. You know that riding in line is going to help everyone, you know, elevate their position and go towards the front of the field here, and maybe pass this first pack for position and maybe take the lead. So, you know, why not work together, right? Why not just, you know, figure it out for the time being?
You see that second pack just trying to reel in these front 4. And I thought it would be a lot easier. There's a little bit more numbers, but they have not been able to really reel these guys back in. They're still around, you know, the 1.2, 1.3 second gap back. You think that these guys all single file would easily be able to run these front 4 back down, but the gap has not really closed yet.
Yeah, right now, just really an impending doom, I think, though, for that first place pack, because inevitably, whether the second place pack is working together or not, they will figure out how to get up towards the front, and that first place pack just does not have the strength in numbers. But you never know, Christian, because the further and further back that the second place group gets, and the more work they're going to have to do to make up for that and compensate. So for the time being, coming to 60 to go here, it's really going to be an experiment, right? Trying to see if that 6th place car on back of Earl and that 2 machine is able to make up that deficit. We see now little by little just chipping away at that almost 2-second gap, but it was a second and a half just half a lap ago, I think, and so that first place pack definitely working together a little better.
Oh, and in the leader, though, Throckmorton's starting to blink a little bit. That's not going to help this at all. And you're actually starting to see, I mean, it's kind of modulating here, but yeah, I mean, that front pack was starting to get away a little bit, even with the little 4-car tandem that could, right? They were starting to get away a little bit, and they're still, seems like out of the corners, they're getting away from this second pack here. And if I'm, you know, Michael, I might tell the 72, hey, you're blinking a little bit. We might have to ask you to go to the back here. We'll try to pick you up if we can, but if you're going to be the leader, you know, you're going to continue to lose this time here, because now they just have not been able to make up this gap, and it's been, what, almost 2-3 laps there, and they're still, you know, just over a second and a half back. They're just right outside the draft range here of that front pack.
Yeah, and I just love what this forces these drivers to do, right? This forces you to work with a guy that you might not be best friends with, that might not even be someone that you've ever raced around before. And it forces you to just put everything aside and say, hey, for the greater good of my race result and your race result, we're just going to have to figure this out, man. We are going to have to just push and shove and get in line, because right now we cannot afford to lose this front pack any more than we already have. A 2-second gap that's continuing to grow now. That four-car pack that could, Christian, you know, maybe looking like a force to be reckoned with.
When we talked about it again, look who's up there. Chastain, Cologne, and Ronnebaum. 3 AWC drivers who have raced with each other for at least 3 seasons now, right? Versus, you know, Earl, Throckmorton, Matthew White, he's an AWC guy, right? A lot of these guys I don't think have a lot of familiarity of like what they want in the car, versus Chastain and Cucalone, who are in the same VC right now, working with each other, trying to, you know, pilot that front pack further and further away from the second pack, trying to run them back down.
Yeah, and this is really just going to be a slow burn for the second place pack. It's got to be excruciatingly difficult behind the sim, because you know that you have the capability to go up front and get to these guys and get in the draft, but you know, it's so difficult when, you know, maybe the leader of that second pack just isn't really taking the pushes as nicely as they could be, or maybe as a pusher you don't feel as confident. But like you mentioned earlier, Christian, you know, a lot of these guys aren't just going to pull out below the yellow line and, you know, settle back in line and have someone else, you know, take their spot. And you see right now it's only helping this front pack as they're coming up on that lap machine of the 38 car that spun out earlier. Matthew Chastain, I believe it was. And now he will go at least a lap down after that incident. So continuing to get more draft from those lap cars is definitely going to help them.
Yeah, so that they just got around Matt Steiner there. Chastain continues the lead here. That kind of split up this pack a little bit there. With this little bit of separation, with the loss of momentum there, having to get around the lap car, we're seeing a little bit of time gained back. They're now underneath 2 seconds. But now they're going to have the lap car of Steiner, who's going to kind of reattach the back of this pack. Not just another car to help this front pack get away.
Yeah, you know, really interesting for that 38 machine, because if he falls further back, he might be able to drag that second pack up towards the front of the field here. But right now you see that deficit kind of just sitting around 1.8 and really not budging from there. So, you know, if you're Earl and White, you know, those top 2 in that second pack, that's gotta be frustrating. But I mean, this is going to be the longest green flag run that we've had this entire race, I think.
Yeah, you're starting to see that gap once again start to spread more towards that front pack again. And once again, my question was how fast could they rebuild that energy, right, in this front pack to get back going? Because I mean, you saw them. They dropped it back from a 2.1 to a 1.8. But now you see that 1.8 start to build to a 1.9. Back up to a 2 again. And one thing I'll say this is, if I'm that 18, if I'm the 38, if you're the 38, you can. I feel like you have to help with this front pack, because I believe he is the first car lap down. There's still a couple of guys who are still in the pack. The 44 of Brady Falicker and Robert Izzo. They are 1 lap down. If you can help this front pack continue to scoot away, if you do get that lucky caution, you do get the lucky dog, and you get back on the lead lap here. So if I'm this 38, if I'm the 18, you see the 18 of Ronbaum actually blinking a little bit here, which is why I think the 38 is a little bit conservative. But right now with the blinking 18, it's actually not, it's making this front pack, you know, really worse now, as I think maybe the drivers back here have actually caught the back end of the pack now, doing stuff. They've switched some things around. Now it's the 16 leading the line here, Van Oostendorp. We know how fast he can be here when he's leading the pack here, as we've actually seen this is actually the 3rd pack, my apologies. So there's actually 3 packs now. We'll go back up to the 72. He's kind of oscillating back and forth now, but they're almost within that draft range back to this front pack.
Yeah, and let's just take an opportunity to, you know, take a look at how far a lot of these drivers in this first pack have come. We see the first place driver of Matthew Chastain up 29 spots from starting position. That's really unbelievable. Enrique Cucalone up 12. Jimmy Cocker up 6. Ace Throckmorton up 16. And then Michael Earl obviously hovering right around the area he started and only down 1 position. I mean, these guys are just, I mean, they really flip their day on their heads for the most part for this top pack. And right now we see the deficit closing more and more towards those front few now
think
under 1 second, 1.5 seconds.
I think they've got it here because it's 1.3 to the leader. That's not to third place of Jimmy Cocker there. I think they might have finally got a hold of that lead draft there. Is once again Ace blinking again. I'm surprised they let him continue to lead there with those couple of connection issues there. But I think they might have hopefully got into the back there. But once again, they're still hovering around that 1.3. I figured, you know, once they get attached to the drafter, they would just be able to easily just pull back up. That's not the case.
Oh, yeah, they're in
there.
it now. They're in it now. Yeah, you can see that deficit is definitely going to be getting smaller and smaller here. And I think that these guys in the front are definitely going to be sitting ducks.
And Matt, well, right on board here. You see now the 72 definitely got it now within a second, and that's going to close very, very soon here. Now underneath the second, 9 tenths. Now back to 8 tenths here going into turn 3.
You know, I could have sworn that there was 5 cars with Steiner in that front pack. I'm not sure if somebody dropped off or what, but they are there now, that second place pack. So this is going to be really interesting to see how they blend together.
Yeah, well, remember, they had the 18 of Ronbaum, and I think he might have blinked out of the session, unfortunately, riding back there in P4. I see him at 31st out of the session, 2 laps down now. So I think, unfortunately, the demise of that front pack was the 18 DCing from the race here. But we see the second pack here. They don't make the move there. They're just going to elect to sit line, just ride it out here on lap 70.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's going to stay that way for long. I think eventually they will get side by side, and inevitably they will eventually get a lot more aggressive. But I mean, you mentioned that lap car, Christian, the 38 of Matt Steiner, definitely going to be trying to make sure he's in the lucky dog position, which I think is going to be pretty easy to do because he's 4th in line in the front of this pack. Anybody else who these cars come up on is really just going to blow by him, and they're not going to have a chance to slide in anywhere for the most part. So I'm thinking that he's in a good spot if there's that lucky yellow that you mentioned, Christian. But the other thing I want to talk about is that third place group, right? Is that third place group going to be able to catch these guys with 30 laps left in this event? I'm not sure.
I mean, they're at 5, almost 6 seconds back from the lead pack here. They're going to have to really get on their horse and go. You see Van Ustendorf, you see Jackson Jones, Jake Scarborough, Carlos Acosta back here, Tyler Watermullen. These guys, I mean, they gotta push hard if they want to have any shot here. Now, I do want to go back and talk to the battle here for this lucky dog here. Matt Steiner currently leading, but AJ Nichols, he's back here. He's last in this front pack here. He's also dropped a lap down here from something. I'm not sure. Maybe he got caught up in that incident or something. He must have. And these two guys battling for the lucky dog, both in this lead pack. So if you see, some moves to the outside, look for this 47 to be one of those guys who are going to jump up to the outside to try to get around the 38 here for that lucky dog position.
Yeah, and let's think about this for a second, right? If this top pack decides to go side by side and start racing, that's only going to help that third place, now second place group with the 16 car that we just looked at work towards the front. And everyone's pitting now. Green flag pit stops, finally. Oh, Enrique Cucolone, he saves it. But the 38 car, Matt Steiner, almost takes him out.
The first group of cars down pit side here. Our first group of green flag pit stops for the night's race here. And I mean, we're right there on that lap 20, for some drivers, lap 29. Actually, no. A lot of these drivers, lap 33, lap 34. So this was the most that they could go here on fuel. See the 22 out of pit side here. He was one of the first drivers down pit road. We'll see how he merges back out here with these green flag pit stops. He should probably... actually, there's a driver right up in front, going to be by himself, but he's going to lead kind of the majority of this front pack here. Now, that hands the race lead over to some of these other drivers here. Jake Scarborough, Travis, this is what was that, second pack. Now they're going to lead the race there. There goes the 68 of Watermullen. He'll come down pit side here, but these guys, we look at, Jake, he's got a couple laps that he can go, but some of these guys have a good, 10 laps that they can still go on fuel before they have to come down pit side.
Yeah, and I'm not so sure that 3 cars is really going to be beneficial here, staying out longer. But, man, I mean, I think it was Matthew Chastain, that 75 car you see. I think he was one of the ones who got off pit lane first. And right now, this blend is going to be definitely interesting to see where the provisional race for the win is. But yeah, right now the pit cycle is going to be really interesting with 3/4 of this event almost done.
Yeah, so I think that was Matthew White, not Matthew Chastain, leading that field. So you look back to the 22 of Enrique back up there. He's currently in P15. He should be, I believe, the provisional leader. Well, when they catch him, I'm not sure what they're going to do with White here, because he is still kind of pulling away from these back here. But you know, we still continue to see some drivers down pit side here. See Shane O'Neill down pit road, but going up to the actual race for the lead for now. With 25 to go, it's still this 3-car tango here. Van Oostendorp, Scarborough, and Acosta trying to pull away now. He's got a just over a 12-second advantage back to Michael Walls. Another little group of cars back there, fourth on back.
Yeah, now this is really where it really gets interesting, Christian, because likely not going to see another big caution until these guys get racing. So these green flag pit stops will happen, and these guys will cycle out as it's meant to be. But with only 3 cars on pit lane, this is really not going to be too beneficial for these guys trying to get back up to speed and, you know, keep pace here. You know, the strength really is with the numbers right now, as we currently see Michael Walls leading a pack of his own right now in the provisional lead.
Ooh, Kynan Jones really up the track there. Did a little bit of damage on the front end. Maybe that car's not handling the best, but I mean, if you told me that Michael Walls, regardless if it is through a green flag pit cycle, what the damage he had was going to be leading laps here from the World Center of Racing, I would have laughed at your face. But look at this number 9 up here. Hope from the 31, Hope from the 85 now. He's going to lead some laps here. Granted, these guys are going to have to come down within the next about 5 to 10 laps here on fuel. It's just, when does this next group of guys come down? And honestly, if I'm these guys, you kind of have to pit together if you want a shot.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Christian, but if there were to be a lucky caution, these guys would essentially just cycle back into the pack, and I think that they'd be fine. And so right now, do you think that they're just staying out for maybe a yellow?
Yeah, I mean, these guys can afford to go, you know, about 5 more laps. So, I mean, honestly, if you just ride around, hope for a yellow, and just pit when you need to, right? You guys are already out of the picture. You got to try something different. If you just pit what the leaders do, then you're not going to get the caution you need to put yourself in a spot here. So I don't mind this, right? Regardless if they stayed out or pitted with the leaders, they're still behind. They need a caution to put themselves in the spot to, you know, make something happen with this race. So right now it looks like, you know, Micah, he's very good on field. He's only has 22 laps on this stint, but I imagine he'll probably come down with the rest of this pack here because he can't afford to pit by himself.
Yeah, but that's a really good analysis, Christian. So, man, then this is what I love about iRacing, is just you get some scenarios that we don't really see too often in real life across the top 3 national series, and for this to be happening at Daytona under the lights is just really, really cool, because, like I said, we're not used to seeing this too often, and so the strategy and watching how it plays out is going to be really interesting to see here in the closing 5th of this race. But right now, I think, like you mentioned, Christian, the provisional lead is definitely going to be in favor of Enrique Cucolone, who came off the racetrack and almost wrecked getting on the pit lane on his own, and then also almost got hit by the lap car of Matt Steiner. What a crazy development that would have been. But Enrique Cucolone looking to best his runner-up finishes here at Daytona from the AWC Pro Series. What a storybook victory that would be if he was able to pull it off.
Yeah, I mean, what a way to do him. He's been so close here at these super speedway tracks to get it done, and just has not come in his favor, right? And he got lucky with the way these guys pitted, right? Matthew White had a way better stop, and you know, that's nice to have in any other track. If you can get out to that big of a lead here at any other track, that's great. But he came out by himself, and when you come out by yourself at a super speedway, you know you did something wrong, most likely. So the 22 was able to get linked together with these 4 cars behind them and get around the 28. You see Wyatt back there in 11th, that 5th car in line. But now it's, you know, when do you pit, right? Jared Wilson and Randall Payne have actually jumped Michael Walls there, as they are down pit side there, so that would make sense. So now a 2-car tango now. It's Randall Payne, Jared Wilson, and that 83 up to the front there. See, you know, that 83 that and the bright yellow-black machine up here leading some laps.
Yeah, and you love to see that out of them after the nights that they've had. 83, we haven't talked about him too much, but that 14 also got involved in an incident, so definitely good to be running up towards the front of this field here, regardless of if it's on pit cycle. The 14 now electing to come down the pit lane. I want to go back to Enrique Cucalone, though. If I had to put one phrase to sum up his season last year in the AWC Pro Series, despite that one win he had at Nashville, I would say the phrase would have to be Enrique Cucalone got second again. Because that was basically what we had to essentially reiterate and phrase differently than that verbatim. But Enrique Cucalone had the bridesmaid finish so many times in the AWC Pro Series that we just got used to interviewing him second in the broadcast booth, which is kind of crazy. But nonetheless, just so much speed and experience here from Enrique. Always running that 22 machine. We see him get that push down the back straightaway just a little bit out of shape. Got to be careful here because you don't want to make a mistake when you're running single file here and throw away a chance of your win.
No, exactly. They cannot afford to do something dumb here and cause a caution, because it's going to be, if this all plays out the way it's supposed to, it's going to be a 5-car race for the win here with how the field strategy, with how the field got split up. And obviously it's not going to be the most exciting race, but I honestly don't mind having these types of finishes where it is, strategy-based win, right? It's not who got to the end and got lucky. It's not who got the push. It's whoever strategized their way towards the front when it counted, right?
Ooh.
With now going to 18 to go now, that Enrique's design, number 22, it continues to lead here and lead some more laps here from the World City of Racing.
Yeah, and I love that metallic 22 paint scheme. I always like mentioning the paint schemes in this field, and so we'll take a look at these top 5 here. Gotta love that white and blue machine in the front with that black hood. Always gotta appreciate those fire suits that these drivers also can design. The Enriquez designs, number 22, Ford Dark Horse Mustang. Then we move back to that big skull on the rear bumper. I love seeing that from the bumper, or the front hood cam of the cars heading behind it, but you see the Avenged Sevenfold paint scheme with the purple accents on the rims and the 65 outline of Noah Brown. That Toyota Supra definitely in contention here today. Jimmy Cocker representing Virginia Tech in the 11 Toyota Supra machine. Love that almost digitized look of, at least I like to think of it, with the side skirts and then also the way that stripe just follows and flows from the hood all the way to the back of that car. Very reminiscent of their Virginia Tech football team helmet. Then we got the Mountain Dew Voltage number 7 car of Luke Allen. We've also got that TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram handle of ID Allen97. You see the Mountain Dew paint scheme. Always cool to see on these race cars in the sim, as we don't see it in real life anymore. But that Chevy Camaro definitely racing towards the front of this field. And lastly, we'll round it out with that 28 car that I pointed out earlier in this broadcast. Caught my eye very quickly when he came towards the front of the field. Cool to see that representation with Best Buy and Valvoline, and those swooping scallops that are so famous with the Hendrick Motorsports team. We've seen many drivers race with it, but obviously Kyle Larson making that paint scheme well known in the NASCAR Cup Series. So always like to give shout outs to the people who design these paint schemes, whether it's the drivers or other people on iRacing in the community. We love what you do for this community, and very cool to see. So right now though, Christian, it's 15 to go. This is crunch time, man.
Yeah, it's time to get it done. It's time to figure out what can you do, right? And especially if you're this top 5, right? Because it's going to be a battle between these guys if we go green, right? We look for the back, fixed on back, right? Track position, right? I mean, if I'm these guys, honestly, it is 3 pack here. You just got to work together to try to get back to them. There's even a possibility to get back to them, right? And if you finish 6th, 7th, 8th, then you finish 6th, 7th, 8th, because you cannot afford to slow each other down racing for it. And then you look back here, 9th on back here, another bigger style pack here. Acosta, Scarborough, see Matthew Chastain, Throckmorton back here as well. And another pack, but they're 9 seconds back. They're going to need some monster lap times to even have a shot to get back up to the front pack here. So, it's go time, but in the midst of things too, it's still trying to get up to the front here, try to make something happen here. And honestly, unless you're this top 5, hope for a caution.
Yeah, and this is really where the slow burn starts to kick in because, like you said, Christian, it's not quite. Oh wow!
Caution!
Oh, a caution! Just like that.
46 around.
That oh man, that changes everything. And that 48 car with the short end of the stick, leading to that yellow being brought out. And I was wondering why those cars were, kind of getting out of shape on the tri-oval, or the 46 car rather. Looking like a bad shove, maybe.
46. Don't mind his P's and Q's here. Oh, it looks like he might have tried to just got line here.
Bryson Bird in that 53 car. Oh, man, another massive hit. And catching air almost exactly like Wyatt Roberts in the tri-oval. Man, these guys have just not been able to keep all 4 tires on the ground tonight.
Yeah, it's been pretty difficult for these drivers to figure it out here. Right on board here with the nose, the 53. And it's going to be interesting to see because the 53 definitely could have lifted for him. He has no reason not to here. But once again, I'm not going to say this was done on purpose or deliberate or something, but remember, these guys need a caution to put themselves in contention. And he definitely put the 46 in a bad spot there, Bryson did. And not only that, he completely tore the front off of this car here. So, I mean, everybody else is if anybody in the top 5 does not win tonight, I think some flowers are going to be delivered to the 53's house post Daytona here. If something goes right here in these last, when we go green, last 10-ish laps.
Man, yeah, we were just talking about it. Like, the entire broadcast, we knew that this was going to be a caution-filled race, right? But for now, all these strategies to be once again bunched up and basically have the field equalized, this really just puts the outcome of this race into the hands of the guys that are going to be staying out and or who have been leading this race. But I don't dislike the idea of coming down pit road if you were staying out and hoping for that yellow. I'm not sure how many people were on that strategy, but it was definitely towards the tail end of those green flag pit stops, so I wouldn't expect there to be that many people who decide to come down pit road. But right now, I mean, track position with what will end up probably being 11 to go once we go green again, that's going to be way more lucrative in terms of what you want to have for the end of this race here. And Enrique Cucalone, I mean, say what you will about, exciting finishes, but Enrique Cucalone, I think, certainly would have elected to have a 5-car race for that win there under green.
Yeah, it's easier to defend top 5 cars than it is, looks like 27, 26 cars that are going to line up here with around, 11, 10 to go here to end week number 1 here. So it's going to be interesting, can Enrique do what he hasn't and finally get this win here at these super speedway style tracks. He's been so close. When we came here in our first season here with AWC Pro Series drivers, was going to win Talladega and got wrecked by Michael Deitch on the final lap. You look last season, almost had it from Daytona and got it stolen by Noah Brown by, I think it was 4/100ths of a second in a photo finish, right? And then you look back to that Talladega race, was leading a lot of laps, got taken out in that one as well. So it's going to be, can Enrique put the pieces together this time to figure out how to get that car in victory lane here from the World Center of Racing?
Yeah, and as a driver, obviously you don't deserve anything, right? But Enrique Cucalone has definitely earned his right to have another shot at a win here at a super speedway just because of his talent behind the wheel and his ability to stay in contention for as long as humanly possible and be in the right place at the right time. But getting ready to go green here, you see right there, 8 of 89 laps led. I don't think that tells the whole story though, Christian, and it especially doesn't tell the whole story of his history here at super speedways. So whether or not he's able to pull it off here, I think Enrique can definitely be proud of the effort that he's had so far tonight. But what better way to cap it off than with a win? And, I mean, for the season opener, I think that would be there would be no more fitting of a winner if that were to happen, but I don't want to speak too soon because we got a lot of other hungry guys that are looking for wins here further on back. And I mean, right now, it's anyone's game.
Well, and you think about it, right? No one wants to win more than probably at one of these crown jewel tracks like Daytona, like Indianapolis, right? Than anybody. And I feel like that's a bucket list item for any driver who signs up for the simulator. You get the sim, you buy the subscription, you buy the content to come and race for wins here at Daytona, for wins at Indianapolis, now for wins maybe at Homestead, right? Which, is the home of our, championship weekend and all that stuff, right? This is why you sign up. This is why you show up and show out for these league races here, to come show that you can do it here at the top of the table here, at the cream of the crop here for the AWC Pro Series.
Yeah, and right now, as we get ready to go green here with just 11 laps to go in this event, you got to pull those belts tight because these guys are going to be ready to go green here.
Cucolone through the restart zone, up through the gears. He gets a good jump. He did the jump up to the top side in front of the 65 and Noah Brown back green here from Daytona.
That Avenge 7-fold 65 machine has been up front all day long. And he is now going to jump right down in front of that Virginia Tech 11 car. A nice block there by Cucolone, though. And then Matthew C. White. It's like the top 5 didn't even change positions now, as we see a lot of the guys that were in that leading pack continuing to run single file here now.
When you talk about it, right, those top 5, they're probably going to work with each other because they know how each other race. They want to, if anything, you talk about deserving or earned or whatever, they probably earned the right to race for the win here. So you're going to see those top 5 guys try to work with each other because, if anything, they deserve to race for the win here as we get to 10 to go here if that caution doesn't come out.
Oh, man, Matthew C. White, I think he thought that top lane with the 7 Mountain Dew car was going to have way more momentum than it actually did. Luckily, he snagged that right recorder panel of the 11 car, was able to suck him back. But that 2 car, I think he is really gonna be jockeying for position here. He was landlocked in that second pack for the longest time as we see more dicing and contact in the outside wall. The 28 machine gathers it back up. Here comes Carlos Acosta in the middle, trying to shoot 3 wide.
There's contact with the 65 and Noah Brown. Are they going to save it? No, they will not. And around goes the whole field.
Wreck.
It's someone up in the air.
Oh my gosh, the 31 car flipping.
And big one happens here with 10 to go here from Daytona. 0-2 up into the outside wall and everybody else nowhere else to go.
That might be one of the most, energizing sequences I've ever seen with 10 to go at Daytona. We see right here the 2 car, just with way too much of a head of steam, hits the right rear quarter panel. Carlos Acosta has to check up, hits Matthew C. White, and they just stack into there. But let's look at this 31 car. Backs it into the outside wall and gets launched by the 84 machine. The big one happening right in the front of the pack.
And nowhere to go for a lot of these drivers. Joseph Smith up and over. Sipping right on board with this 31 to see if he can show us what happened here in his eyes with the chaotic grade here going into turn 3 and 4.
A huge checkup, and I mean, just nowhere to go there. Everyone trying to find position here. You got to lock it down, foot on the brake, and flipping. Unbelievable. I mean, that might be one of the craziest wrecks I've seen after a car has lost control, but
Back
kept it on 4 wheels.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's unreal. I mean, Gavin Austin iRacing mentioned it in the YouTube chat perfectly. Like that is honestly just jaw-dropping what we just saw. So, man, what a crazy way to continue this race, just filled with cautions. And I mean, Enrique Cucolone now with a Penske car right behind him. But, oh man, that's just got to be a crazy debate to have with yourself, right? Do you want to be leading right now, and especially coming towards the last several laps, or do you want to be further on back and maybe have the opportunity to, dictate a momentum, to dictate a run and try to get in front of Enrique here? But then you're just hoping that the race stays green, right? That might not happen. You see the 2 car dropping back now.
Michael Earl, penalty.
Wow. EOL for the 2, it looks like. Maybe a restart violation? I'm really not sure what that could be from.
Yeah, it's interesting to see, to hear what's going on here, but we'll have to see. Regardless, that's that Penske teammate gone from the 22 of Cucolone here, and going back to what you were talking about, Matthew. Do you want to be up front? Do you want to be towards the back? I just feel like it just depends on the driver, right? Enrique's been in this spot so many times. I feel like he's probably comfortable having that 22 up front, and I think he knows where to put this car. Versus some other people who probably prefer to not be leading the race because they're scared that they could give it up. I think this 22 has got what it takes to get it done here. Is Enrique end of line penalty here?
No. I was going to say, Enrique Cucolone did make a lane change before the stripe coming to the start of that last restart. Could that have been why that penalty was issued?
Yeah, I was gonna mention it when we went green there. He went up to the top to block before he got to the stripe
Wow.
there, and that could definitely be a penalty here in the league rules. I'd love to see why. Obviously, we can't really hear what's going on in the driver's chat right now, so we're trying to figure out a way to so we can hear it to where you guys can't. But it's super interesting to see that unfold here. But yeah, definitely really interesting. Enrique leading to the race is going to go to the back of the pack here, and going to have to earn it the hard way here. We'll probably go back to green here with 6 to go here. Not over for the 22. He got up there once. He could probably do it again. Maybe help that if he can get help from the 2 there. Maybe they can get back up there. So this kind of chooses up the front row here. So it's going to be Noah Brown. We've seen him up towards the front throughout the whole race. Now you see 15 laps led for this 65 machine. And then Jimmy Cocker in the 11. We talked about him having a good day tonight, a good quiet day. Now he's going to be up here when it counts here, leading that bottom side.
Yeah, and how about Van Oostendorp in that 16 car, second in line on the bottom? Back up front in contention here. We saw that he was involved in an incident in turn 1, turning a car around on a bad push in mid-corner, but was able to reel it back up, put that behind himself, and right now he's following that 11 car, the Virginia Tech machine. And right now, I mean, a really good spot for Jimmy Cocker. I mean, he basically gets a free spot here on the front row. And what a better place to be in with what'll be 6 to go when we go green here, but that 65 car, Noah Brown, has been the constant here so far tonight at Daytona. Has really just been up front at all times. But how about that 40 car right behind him? Fidel Fabian, an AWC Pro Series original driver. I mean, this guy has rarely seen the front at many of these races that we've been to. And I'm curious if I pull up my result from last time we were here at Daytona at the season opener. But Fidel Fabian was not even in the top 15 last time we raced for the season opener in the AWC Pro Series. So there are a lot of guys that are going to be going at it right now.
Going to be interesting to see what will people do to get the win here. Back into the United Reynolds restart zone and back green here. 6 laps to go here from the World Center of Racing.
Now you saw the 65 and Noah Brown. He already got a good jump. Going to be able to choose a line here. We see the 7 car going to elect to go to the bottom of the racetrack. That 16 already pushing and shoving with that 11.
I think
And the
he
block
wanted
to the bottom of the track.
I think he wanted to go with the 40 there, his Toyota teammate, but the momentum is not there, unfortunately. And Fidel is going to have to find a hole here, get help from the top side there. Here comes the 38, wrecking in the back. Caution will wave.
Wow. Once again, 47 car of AJ Nickel.
Like the 56 of Oscar Enriquez around it there. We saw, the 4 car. Jacob B. Davis, he's slowed down here down the backstretch. We'll take a look here. Off the 56 here, not the race that I think Enriquez wanted after starting here on the front row. We'll take a look and see what happened here out of turn 2.
As we see the incident already taking place there, but 56 car looked like he got tapped in the left rear, maybe got out of shape. We follow along, we see Enrique Cucolone cutting it up through the field, and then the 4 car, yeah, just slight contact to the right rear. 4 gets spun around, and the 56 also does. Just a little bit of contact with that 20 car. Very unfortunate.
Yeah, well, you know, what do you do, right? You're following a car with no back end, right? And on top of that, you're on a simulator with when netcode's a thing and everything else. I mean, I don't really know what the 4 was supposed to do there, right? I mean, the 56 was slow. He was kind of boxed in. I think he was just trying to help the 56 maybe get along there. Unfortunately, but no rear end. It's, you know, there's not really a place to push that car. Obviously, he wasn't completely centered up, but I mean, I don't know where you'd even try to make contact with the 56 there, with how damaged his car is tonight. So I mean, kind of a lose-lose for the 4 of Jacob Davis here. See a lot of damage on the right side, and that Pepsi Ford Dark Horse Mustang. Probably see him come down pit road there, and try to get some damage fixed here. As we will, I don't think we'll get to a green and white checkered opportunity there. I think will be a natural green and white checkered here from Daytona.
Yeah, and I always love how these races somehow just end up finishing in a way that makes it exciting, right? I mean, at the end of the day, we had all this craziness happen, and whoever comes out the winner, you know, had to survive through all of this. But we see, once again, pit stops happening under yellow here, so still more strategy with, yeah, almost a green-white checkered finish coming up here. And a lot of these drivers, yeah, just, you know, getting their last pit stop, hopefully, for the end of this race, and making sure that they are just situated before they get going under green here again.
Well, I think there's a lot of drivers who are just trying to get some damage fixed on their virtual machines here. You see almost every car here, a little bit of right front damage. You see the 47 of Nichols, the 31 of Smith. You see, obviously, the 4 who just got caught up in that wreck. You see back there Jake Scarborough getting some damage fixed. So everybody down here for an extended pit stop here, trying to get everything ready to go here and trying to make something happen. And Oscar in the 56 down here. Here comes Michael Walls out of pit side. We'll grab a hold of him. He exits pit road. And then, you know, you look at this 9, almost brand new, respective, you know, of how that car looked, you know, in the first half of the race. You know, Micah, he's going to be starting back here, P17, green, white, checkered. We get a couple cautions. This 9 is not out of the possibilities to come up there and try to steal one here.
Yeah, and that's just a feel-good story, man, for tonight with the 9 car. Michael Walls was well out of contention. You see a low of 37th after that incident at the beginning of the race. Nothing he could really do to, you know, get out of that incident that he found himself in. But, I mean, just kept his head down, kept going to work, Christian, like you mentioned various times throughout the broadcast. Got that hood replaced, got that damage fixed, kept coming down pit road, stayed on the lead lap. Remained in contention after all that craziness, after the 38 car of Matt Steiner spun out, and we stayed green and had like 3 main packs and then some pit cycles on top of that. Michael Walls was leading laps. Michael Walls was leading his pack. I mean, just a crazy up and down day. I think Michael Walls, with regardless of the finish that he gets, just needs to be proud of the effort that he put in today.
Oh, I definitely agree. Nonetheless, fantastic comeback here for the 9. Even if he finishes on the lead lap, that's still an impressive comeback too. After what happened early in the race for him, no hood, no front end on that number 9 Lowe's machine, to come back and at least just finish the race. Now that's an impressive feat in its own. But see, once again, lights off on the pace car. Still same front row. It's going to be the same 65 of Brown and the number 11 Jimmy Cocker and the number 11 Virginia Tech Supra leading the rows here. You'll see some drivers further back there. You see the 7. He got caught up in an incident throughout the race here as well. So up here inside the top 4, and you'll see Van Oostendorp up here in the 16. He's been up here inside the top 10 conversation the whole race, I felt like.
Yeah, and Fidel Fabian also there. We also see further on back a few familiar faces throughout the race. Dane Cruz in that 87 car right there in the outside lane. Gonna make a late effort here, as well as that 38 Goodwrench car back in the lead lap in the top 10, Matt Steiner. Then we got the 36 of Luca Turcotti. That's gonna be in that Ford number 36 machine. Man, there are so many guys that just have had crazy days so far here in the ARC iRacing Pro Series. It's actually Ace Throckmorton in the 72 car as well. So, I mean, just so many different storylines. We see maybe one car blinking there, third in line, fourth in line on the bottom of the racetrack. So something to look out for. And you see the third place car, is actually blinking right behind the 16. But I mean, we're ready to go racing here. This is the end of the race right now.
Yeah, natural green and white checkered, I believe, for these drivers. We get ready to go green. It's going to be the 65 of Brown. Jimmy Cocker in the 11. Back to green here. 2-lap dasher from Daytona.
And a great jump from the 65 car. That's going to get him out in front here, but there's a really good push going on the bottom here. 65 is going to have to make a decision who will elect to stay to the bottom of the racetrack. Block the 11 car. As we look back, what a great view from the HUTV booth we have here. The good shove out of Cocker, but here comes Van Oostendorp to the top lane in that 16 Digital Ally machine.
He told us in the duels he's going to be aggressive. He's going to go out and try to win the race, but right now, no help. As the Toyotas line up on the bottom, but here comes the top lane here, and guess who's coming up towards the front? The 87 in Crew Series. We come to the white flag.
Yeah, this top lane I think is going to be something to watch out for, but more importantly, who jumps up to block it? But right now, they are not that organized right now. The bottom lane looks like they're going to have a few strong pushes on the bottom of the racetrack. White flag. 1 lap to go here from the World Center of Racing.
Still Noah Brown, Jimmy Cocker. The bottom lane continues to prevail, but when does the top lane start to prevail with it? The 16. The Van Oostendorp trying to get help from the 87. Do they have enough time to get this top rolling? We'll see Fidel Fabian on the bottom there. Third car in line, going to try to get side by side there with that 40 machine as we get ready to go through the backstretch for the final time here from Daytona.
Man, they're running out of time if they want to make a move on that 65 car. Brown wrecked behind him. There's going to be a lot of cars caught up in this one towards the back of the pack. They're racing to the start-finish line in the front. Who's going to make it back?
Going to be the 11 of Jimmy Cocker going to jump out of the line. It's going to be a photo finish at the line.
Oh. Wow.
Noah Brown from Daytona, 2-time Daytona 250 winner here in ARC Pro Series.
What a finish there from the Avenged Sevenfold 65 Toyota Supra. Oh man, that was crazy. I thought the 11 might have had him there, but he was able to stay to the bottom of the racetrack and took the short way around and get the victory here at Daytona.
He did it the same way that he did last season here from Daytona. Not last season, but 2 seasons ago here. In the when it was still the AWC Pro Series. Took it away from Enrique Cucolon. Now Noah Brown, 2-time winner here at Daytona International Speedway.
I mean, we said it the entire broadcast. Brown was just in front, in contention, the entire race. He was there way more consistently than anybody else in the field was, and just kept his car clean, kept his head down, and didn't let anything else that happened throughout the race, change his mindset. And I mean, I don't know how many times we had a restart, but he was at least within the first several rows every single time, if not leading those restarts. And just a crazy way to cap off an unbelievable race here in the ARC Pro Series to kick off this season.
The 21 laps led for Noah Brown here in this number 65 machine. And yeah, what a way to kick it off there. A big wreck in the back. We'll have to look at that after the burnouts here. But congratulations to Noah Brown. Win number 1 here in the ARC Pro iRacing Series. And what a way to do it here from the World Center of Racing.
Yeah, and obviously, I mean, taking his time to celebrate as he should, doing his burnouts. I mean, what better place to celebrate than here at Daytona after winning not just any race at Daytona, but a thriller, a real, keeping you on the edge of your seat type of race. And he's going to have some time to celebrate. And we would love to talk to him very soon here up in the booth. And got to give some shout outs to the rest of our finishing order. But before we do that, definitely want to take some time to appreciate our drivers and our sponsors. But yeah, let's get into our post-race show.
Yeah, right before we get into that, I do want to go back and take a look at 87 here, see if we can find him. Take a look at that big wreck that happened at the end there, because obviously that kind of really dictated the outcome of who got to the front and who didn't. We'll see if this is potentially the caution here. Might have been after the wreck here. Yeah, we'll go back here further on back. I think Micah was involved in this as well. Let's take a look and see what happened here out of turn 3 and 4 as well before here. Try to see if we can find someone up here. Matt Snyder. I was trying to find 87 of Dane Cruz. I cannot find him on our timing and scoring to save our life here. But you see the huge wreck there. 7 to 87 kind of getting together there. Just nowhere to go for the rest of the field. Everybody just trying to dogpile their way through. And nowhere to go for a lot of these drivers.
You know, I just realized, I think Michael Walls got through all that. And I'm not quite sure where he finished, but it looks like Michael Walls got a top 10. That's unbelievable. I really think we should watch an onboard of him getting through that wreck. He had a lot of contact, but I noticed he was sliding it through the bottom of the banking, looking like Jimmy Johnson in that one summer race at Daytona, I think it was. You see right here.
Go back way
Michael
further
Walls.
back here. On board
Way
with
back in the
Michael
pack.
Walls.
I mean, this is the last lap. I mean, not going to be going for the win, but just trying to get a good finish here. Let's see Michael Walls go down the back stretch. Eventually see the smoke in front of him. See him get through this. They're going a little too fast, getting down on the embankment there. Oh man, that's crazy. He's still going.
Just like that, a P8 finish for Michael Walls here. He tries to get the O2 there, he tries to get the 2 machine, not going to get it done, but still an impressive feat nonetheless. Michael Walls, you know, up in the air earlier in this race to a P8 finish, so congrats to Mike on that, good recovery nonetheless. But I think it's time now. We got to look through the big wreck. We're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break, let our sponsors talk to you guys, and we'll start our post-race show here from Daytona. So welcome you back here to the post-race show here for the AWC Pro Series here from the World Center of Racing. What a finish to call nonetheless there, as we saw Noah Brown take it home here, victorious here from Daytona. We're going to go ahead and talk to the driver of the number 65 here in just one moment. Let's go ahead and talk to Noah Brown here, up here in the HVTV booth. Hey, Noah, it's Christian and Matthew up here in the HVTV booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, first of all, congratulations. Your second win here from the World Center of Racing. Your second win here to start the season here in this number 65 machine. First of all, congratulations. Second of all, what's the feeling here after coming home just nearly inches in front of that number 11 machine?
Well, I can't say it's not overshadowed by a lot, in my opinion, but it's a good start to the campaign here for me personally and for Redux. I think a 1-3 finish for Redux. I don't know how points are counted here if it's all teammates, but 1-3 for us is a pretty good start. And then getting that push at the very end from Fidel was super helpful. So I feel like we've got a good action plan. I can't say it's going to be easy because we got a lot of guys here that I can only describe as hacks. I'm not going to name names, but they know who they are, and hopefully they don't cause issues throughout the whole season. But yeah, it's a good start.
Obviously, walk us through a very chaotic race tonight. We saw lots and lots of chaos, lots and lots of aggressiveness, and obviously, you talked about the new drivers coming in from other parts, and obviously AWC and ARC merging together is kind of a combined group effort tonight. What was it like just trying to feel the blend and kind of this now, having to relearn, a lot of these new drivers?
I mean, I feel like a lot of these guys are vetted, and a lot of these guys from either AWC or ARC, like whether or not they're good or bad drivers or they're clean or dirty, you know what you're dealing with when you get into vetted drivers. But it was brought out in the race by race control that we did have a good amount of natural growth outside of ARC and AWC merging. And some of those guys that we brought in, I think, are just not it. And if those guys are from ARC, I don't know how they got in the first place. So I think ARC is a great league. I think AWC is a good league. And I think together they'll do great things. But some of the people that are in here now are just they're not gonna last. So we got the off week. Hopefully we make some decisions in the league, and hopefully they're the best for the longevity of the entire show. So hopefully we can have more races this season that put on a good show, better than tonight.
Well, I definitely couldn't agree myself, Noah. But nonetheless, leading 22 laps tonight, putting that number 65 up front for, I'll say, the majority of the race outside of that kind of long green flag run there. So congratulations. First win in the season for you and the 65 team. But before we let you go, anybody you want to shout out, thank, appreciate for tonight's win here from the World Center of Racing?
I just want to thank admins, Jake Scarborough, and if I can remember the other pal's name. I'm terrible with names. Hold on, I'm looking through the list. AJ, thank you, Jake and AJ, for putting on the league. I think the merger is going to be great for the future of this league. I want to thank my teammates for being there with me most of the night. I can't really do it without them. I didn't think I was going to do it alone for sure. So, thank you to Nick Packin for designing the car as always. You'll see some more cool paint schemes throughout the season, hopefully, either from him or from our other designer, Bojo, who makes a lot of the other paint schemes in here. And thank you to iRacing for making me pay $15 a month for whatever that was.
Definitely an interesting race nonetheless, Noah. Congratulations, your first win of the season. And we appreciate your time up here in HV3 booth. Hopefully we can talk to you some more down here in Victory Lane.
Yes, sir. Take care.
Noah Brown, win number 1 here from Season 7. We'll go ready to talk to you, number 2 driver here. Matthew has Jimmy Cocker up here in the HVTV booth.
Hey, Jimmy, this is Matthew and Christian up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got y'all.
Well, what a crazy finish to a crazy race, to say the very least, Jimmy. First of all, talk to us about that finish, just the late move coming into the trial. But what was going through your mind, man?
Get to the checkers was the main thing. I was very happy with just being able to survive. I had like 24x by the end of that race. There's so many wrecks I was a part of. I was just grateful to see the checkered flag. But when we did see the opportunity, we went for it. We got to his outside, side drafted really hard. He played it perfectly though. He was able to kind of pinch me up to the wall, and then he just took the shortest way around the racetrack, got the push from his teammate. Played it really well. Hats off to him. And I don't know. I don't know what more I could have really done. Maybe I could have gotten on his door a little bit more coming down to the racetrack, but I don't know. That's all in retrospect.
Well, we really appreciate that sportsmanship from you, Jimmy. Talk to us a little bit more about in the last quarter of the race, running in that breakaway pack with, I think it was Enrique Cucolone, Matthew C. White, and obviously yourself there for a while. What was going through your mind as you guys were kind of just dictating the race from obviously, a few seconds in front of that second place pack that got split up after that single car spin that did not bring out a caution? What was kind of the approach there as you guys were just kind of a several car breakaway?
Yeah, I mean, I just felt content running in line, just kind of sitting there and hoping that we could get to the white flag. Unfortunately, we didn't. But yeah, before that it was just about getting on pit road and making sure that we got down there clean. It looked like there was a little bit of fireworks. Someone in front of us locked up and semi-spun down there, but as long as we kept it clean, got down there, communicated with those other guys when we were coming down and that we were going to be able to come down with somebody, we were going to be able to stay in that breakaway pack. And it would have worked out perfectly if we didn't have that caution, but you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, definitely some chaos at various points in the race. Talk to us a little bit about the blend of different drivers from the AWC Pro Series and the ARC Series, which now have had this merger. Did you notice that there was a little bit of difficulty trying to work together with some people? Was there a learning curve just trying to figure out where you worked best and who you worked best with?
Yeah, there's always going to be a learning curve with that. When you have a merger, you haven't raced with some of those guys ever, really. I mean, some of those guys that I've never seen their name on the game, but most of them race clean. The AWC guys, they're kind of new to me. I come from the ARC side, so I know kind of what they have and who I can work with and who I can't. But the AWC guys, there'll be a little bit of learning to go throughout the season with those guys, but for the most part, pretty clean.
You know, we appreciate the honesty, man. Before we let you go here, though, wanted to give you an opportunity to shout out anybody that you'd like to thank or appreciate for the second place finish here at Daytona.
Yeah, sure. Shout out to FIWB Esports, all those guys. They have my back every single week, and especially Brody and Luke. We were in the same voice chat there with those guys. Happy to be racing with them. Unfortunately, they didn't get the results they wanted to, but happy to be racing with them.
Well, we really appreciate your time, Jimmy. You have a good rest of your night, man.
Yeah, you guys as well.
Jimmy Cocker, P2 here from Daytona, and take a look and see if we can find Fidel Fabian. I do not see him in any waiting room chat, so I guess I can do a quick sum up of, Fidel's race. Obviously, we look back at Fidel. He started relatively, well, as he started in seventh in this number 40 machine. Remember, he was in the 51, switched over to the 40 for this season here in season 7 for the AWC Pro Series. But comes up P3, put himself in a good spot tonight. And as Noah said, coming in to push his teammate to the win must be really nice for Fidel, and happy for him to come up here and have a good finish for himself.
Yeah, Fidel Fabian really had just kind of an up and down day, but was there at the end. And I mean, a top 3 finish, getting third here. I mean, really, really good, all considering, where he was running in the AWC Pro Series several months ago. So always got to take victories like that, get your pat on the back and move forward, because, you don't know when they're going to happen again, right? And so for Fidel, that was really good of him to be able to work together and work with that 11 car fellow Toyota Supra and get that victory for the 65 machine. So definitely got to give him props for working together there at the end with the eventual winner, and obviously looking forward to seeing him race more.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what Fidel can do, and this new campaign here, this new chapter for everybody here in the ARC Pro Series. But we'll go ahead and take a look at our unofficial race results and then wrap up and give our final thoughts here tonight from Daytona. Obviously, we talked to your top 2 finishers, Noah Brown, Jimmy Cocker. 1-2, you see that 1/100th of a second off there between Jimmy and Noah there. So close for Jimmy. Just could not get the run built up in time to get around to 65 there. Noah Brown gets a second win here from Daytona here to start off the season. Fidel Fabian comes on P3. And you see Tyler Watermullen sneaks his way into P4 after that huge wreck in the back there. Really good finish for him. By far his best finish, I believe, of the season. You look at Chavez Van Oostensdorp. Oh, my tongue's getting tied there. But he comes home P5. He had a really good race tonight. Showed a lot of pace tonight. You see Jake Scarborough. He comes home. Didn't have the flashiest race, but got through the wreck. The best of the rest, I guess, right? And comes home P6. You see Michael Earl, P7. And we talked about Micah Walls recovering with P8. AJ Nichols and Randall Payne right now at your top 10.
Taking a look at 11 through 20th finishing positions. Oscar Enriquez just barely missing the top 10. Joseph Smith, after a flip, gets 12th place. That shouldn't even be possible, but that's awesome. Kynan Jones, an AWC regular, getting 13th. Dane Cruz, obviously starting last, getting a top 15, really good for him. Bryson Bird, after at least one incident where he had some pretty big damage, getting a top 15, obviously the dominating driver from last year's AWC Pro Series. Matt Steiner, another AWC guy, followed by Enrique Cucalone, going to have to settle for a top 17. Not indicative of his race after he had a penalty late and had to go to the end of the longest line. Luke Allen in the 7 car gets 18th. Ace Throckmorton gets 19th, and Matthew Chastain rounds out your top 20.
21st on back. Nolan Crane, 21st place finish for him. You see Luca Turcati in the number 36 back there in 22nd. Shane O'Neill, Jared Wilson, and Brock Belecker round out your lead lap finishers tonight here, back rounding out your top 25, and then further back on drivers at least one lap down or out early. So Ryan Jones in the 8, Jacob Davis back there 5 laps down, and everybody else out early here from Daytona. Look at Matthew White, Jackson Jones, Carlos Acosta. He led some laps tonight. Looking further back here, out early. There's a Ron Baum, Roberts, Anson, Hammond. We thought Olivia was going to have a good race tonight. Further back here, outside there, you see Joel Farfalo. He was caught up in a wreck early this week, and then 40th on back, I believe, didn't even start the race. You saw, I know Corkle and Madigan was not able to show up tonight here from the, but yeah, definitely a chaotic race. And Matthew, obviously, very, very, very interesting. We had a lot of cautions, and then we had that long green flag run. Felt like we just got a little bit of everything. We had a flip tonight. Just a little bit of everything tonight here from Daytona.
Yeah, the sim never fails to put on great racing at Daytona no matter what. And despite how excruciating some of those cautions were and how often they were happening, I mean, up in the booth, and I'm sure for a lot of people at home and for a lot of the drivers that will rewatch this broadcast, I think that they're going to have a good time just, listening in on the insight that we had to give. But yeah, I mean, from the drop of the green, we had chaos. We had guys that were just trying to figure out who to work with, right? We heard in the post-race interviews, there were people that are from ARC and from AWC just not really getting along as easily as we thought. And we saw that because there were people that were given shoves when they probably shouldn't have been, taking runs and trying to clear in areas that, it just really wasn't appropriate to. But at the same time, we saw a lot of good racing later on in that green flag run, and we saw multi-car breakaways, multiple different strategies. We saw a lot of good efforts, especially from that of Michael Walls, able to pull off a top 10. A lot of good runs from people from the AWC series who aren't really used to having good runs, and very cool to see that out of people at Daytona. And then obviously with the chaotic finish there, the side-by-side photo finish, I mean, what more could you want after the crazy race that we had to redeem it with a really close finish, and obviously just an exciting last restart. So we had just about everything. We also had a flip. We had multiple cars up off the ground in the trial and in the corners. And obviously we also had that tight scuffle on pit road where Enrique Cucalone and Matt Steiner almost got into each other. And yeah, I mean, we had just about all you could ask for in a race, but particularly at a super speedway, it was quite honestly entertaining from all possible perspectives.
No, it definitely was, and it's interesting to see just all the dynamics we had throughout the race tonight, with everybody just trying to settle for the rest, right? Try to get the best of what they can out of their equipment, and it was definitely topsy turvy, right? We had flips, we had everything that you could happen here from Daytona happened tonight, and it all came down to that. That last green white checkered finish between Noah Brown, Jimmy Cocker, and everybody else there as they wrecked further on back there on that final lap.
Yeah, I mean, it was really just all you could have wanted, in my opinion, in terms of a holistic race, in terms of just the overall diversity of events that we had. And obviously, what better way to kick it off than at Daytona, right? Like we were saying at the beginning of the broadcast, really prestigious and historical venue, and to be able to be part of this broadcast is always fun to do, and to see a lot of familiar faces even more so just made it that much more enjoyable from the broadcast perspective. But we really hope that everyone at home enjoyed the broadcast, and looking forward to any other opportunities that we get moving forward with obviously the ARC iRacing Pro Series and other racing series that we will be broadcasting in the near future.
I'm going to say about it myself, Matthew, but for everybody here with HVTV, we appreciate everybody's time and energy, whether you're driving on the track, whether you're an admin here for the ARC Pro iRacing Series, whether you're just at home, typing at home. it was a blast calling the race, and we appreciate all the time and camaraderie you guys took out of your day to give us some company tonight here to call a race here from Daytona. But for myself and Matthew Chastain up here in the HVTV booth, I think it's time to call the night here from the World Center of Racing. Matthew Perchatsky, my apologies, up here in the HVTV booth. I think it's time to call the night, and once again, another congratulations to Noah Brown up here from the World Center of Racing. We look forward in the week 2 to see how this momentum swings. But once again, from everybody here up in the HVTV booth, we hope you guys have a great night. Once again, you've been watching an HVTV production of the AWC of the ARC Pro iRacing Series. Hope you have a great night, and we'll see you guys soon.